I want to thank everybody for their indulgence. I know that we took a little bit extra time in our closed session. So this is a call back, and this is we're going to take the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the CK McClatchy Girls Golf Team, winners of the 2015 Sac Joaquin Girls Golf Section title. So if you'd like to come up to give the Pledge of Allegiance, right there at the podium. And since I have everybody standing up to start the board meeting, I would like to first take a moment of silence for the victims of the terrorist attacks in Paris, please. Thank you. When you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now stay there. Stay there.
Right. We didn't ask you to come here just to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You had a lot more important recognitions yet to come. So we'll do time for pictures right after this. We promise you. So just have a short statement. So one, I just want to tell my fellow board members I got promises that they'll help us teach us any golf lessons we might need or something. So Daryl, I know, would eagerly use that as much as I could take advantage of that too. We are here to honor your great work. The CK McClatchy High School's Championship Girls Golf Team, coached by Daniel Ning. The team won this year's CIF Metro League title, which allowed them to advance to the San Joaquin Divisional Golf Tournament at Teal Bend on Monday, October 26th. At the tournament, the team was led by Katie Lowe's low round of 76 and captured the Division II championship with a team score of 476. Let me introduce the Lady Lions by name: Marissa Kwong, Jeannie Lamb, Catherine Lowe, Victoria Kanu, Sydney Fong, Jackie Crittenden, and Caitlin Liu. And because of your hard work, your determination, and your winning, we are here to celebrate you and your efforts, and congratulations. You are our Sacramento City Unified School District stellar students. Congratulations.
Would you like to say a few words, or Coach like to say a few words?
Captain Katie, want to say anything?
Katie with the low round.
On behalf of this year's Lady Lions golf team, I would like to thank everyone. Coach Dan, this is his first year being coach, and he did a phenomenal job. So we all wanted to thank you for your hard work and dedication. Our parents who shuttle us to and from practice every day, starting from August. Thank you so much for taking us to and from tournaments, practicing on the weekends. We all really appreciate it. And thank you to the lovely administration who came out today to support us. We wouldn't be nearly as successful if it wasn't for your support. Thank you.
That's my brother-in-law.
What do we do?
And thank you. Item 5.0, announcement of action taken in closed session.
Yes, Mr. President. One announcement out of closed session. By a unanimous vote of all 7 board members, Resolution 2015-16-B was approved regarding a certificated employee of intention to dismiss and statement of charges and suspension without pay, immediate suspension without pay. That is the announcement out of closed session, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item 6.0, agenda adoption. I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7.0, public comment. Oh, excuse me. Your admonition.
This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being recorded in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption with the exception of technical problems on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and ATT-Uverse. Today's meeting will air Sunday, November 22nd at 9 a.m., Monday, November 23rd at noon, and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker identification form located in the back of the community room and give it to Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Ross, prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items not listed on the agenda. If you are found to be commenting on an item that is on the agenda, you will be asked to defer your item until it comes up onto the agenda. Please turn off all cell phones or place them in the silent or vibrate mode.
Thank you. Item 7.0, public comment.
We have 12 comments on 7.0. I'll read speaker names 5 at a time. If folks can please line up behind the microphone in the order you're called. Brian Nelson, Jim Coombs, Dennis Ishizaki, I think that's right, I apologize, LaShanya Brazil, and Edwin Figueroa.
Good evening.
Good evening.
May I begin? Is there any?
Absolutely.
So my name is Brian Nelson. I'm a resident within the school district. I am a parent of a C.K. McClatchy student and athlete. I am also a parent of a C.K. McClatchy alum, class of 2014. I'm here with some colleagues who are members of the McClatchy Boosters organization called Restore the Roar. I'm going to ask my colleague Jim Coombs to give you some details about our organization. But in summary or in principle, what we do is try to support the student athletics at McClatchy High School. That's kind of our charter. And we do that as best as we can from parent support, financial support, fundraising efforts, and moral support, community support. We have identified many challenges with the athletic facilities at McClatchy High School. Our fundraising efforts tend to be limited because of the financial resources that we generate, limited to small equipment, apparel, things of that nature. Through our efforts, we've identified that the needs of the McClatchy facilities are far in excess of our ability to fund them. Needs like playfield equipment, safety, and security items. We understand, or we know, that the Measure R has been voted on by your constituents, so there are funds available, and so we're seeking some support from the board and from the district to help fund some of those needs at our campus. In that effort, we invited Jay Hansen, Trustee Hansen, and Principal Lambert to our organization. Asked them to how we might be able to, as an organization, offer or ask how we could support you to help us with our objectives. And the answer was to, first of all, provide a priority list of what we identified as the needs to be. We've done that. I'd like to pass this out to all of you, if I may, please.
Oh, sure.
And
And before, as you're doing that, I understand that there are 3 of you who are seeking 10 minutes of time to collectively. Are you the beginning of that 10
I'm
minutes
just
of
about
time?
done. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague. We'll stay within the.
I'm just wanting to set the clock, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we ask that you would please read the priority list that we've identified, that we've put together. Please consider our appeal to ask for your representation to support the needs of the campus. Measure R, as it's been written, includes modernization of play fields and equipment. So within the bond itself, it specifies, we've identified those kinds of needs here. There are a lot of safety and security issues with our campus, and we ask that you would please give some thoughtful consideration to our requests. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Coombs. I'm a proud 1957 McClatchy graduate, a 38-year educator in the Sac City Unified School District, and a 28-year teacher, counselor, and coach at McClatchy High School. I am a citizen who voted for measures Q and R, even though I no longer have children in the district. Tonight, my job is to give you a little bit more background about Restore the Roar. About 8 years ago, a few McClatchy alumni got together to create Restore the Roar to help raise money for the athletic program. Over the years, the group has multiplied significantly. 4 years ago, we created a McClatchy Sports Hall of Fame, and over 4 years, we have inducted over 120 former great McClatchy athletes and coaches into the Hall of Fame. Large boards with each year's inductees sit at the entrance to the gym for all students to see each day. Last year, we had over 500 attend the dinner and induction, and this year we cut attendance 2 weeks prior at 430. Over 100 McClatchy students and parents participated in the evening by serving dinners, helping in the parking lot, acting as hostesses, and helping set up and take down the facilities. Today, Restore the Roar has a parent representative for each team, 18 teams on the McClatchy campus, and this board meets monthly. In October, we met with Principal Lambert and School Board Member Jay Hansen to express our concerns about the horrible conditions that the champion McClatchy teams have to endure with the athletic fields and tennis courts. Tonight, the Restore the Roar parents offer their vision of what needs to be done to protect all Sacramento City Unified School students and athletes when they play on McClatchy fields. As you can see, the plan is well thought out and needs immediate action by board and district if the McClatchy girls and boys championship soccer teams are to have home field in 2016 and 17 winter season. All 8 facility requests are important, but the first 4 items are crucial for student safety. Please take McClatchy's facility needs seriously before a star athlete becomes seriously injured. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Lindsay Philby. I'm an 84 graduate of CK McClatchy, so yes, that makes me just about 50. I have a daughter graduated in 13. I'm just glad to be here. And a son who is currently a sophomore at McClatchy. My kids are 3rd generation CKM Lions, potentially 4th. We're trying to figure out where Grandma went. Great grandma to them. One of the things that I did after the last board meeting that I attended was to go out. I'm on the property at McClatchy all the time. I've got, in the school, Principal Lambert will tell you I'm rolling around the hallways and trying to help out where I can. But one of the things I did was to re-walk all the fields, courts, track, and the pool area, softball, the whole back 40. As you know, we have this blooming population of students there. It's I think it's the biggest population for high school. And every single one of those kids uses what I call our back 40, uses the back half of the school. There's been the gym's fantastic, just in time for our girls' state championship, just in time. But the back 40 is, it is something that should be something to be proud of. Like Daryl, you talked about how the Kennedy boys football team holding their head high, and I'm thrilled for you. I am. Kennedy's our sister school, but our kids need to be able to hold their heads up. And the condition of those courts, fields, track, which we for 20 years, have tried to raise money to improve, to make safe. It's just, it's rough. And I encourage all of you to go over to the school and just walk it. It's not a big footprint. It doesn't take very long. One of the things that really jumped out for me, a couple of things, it all needs work, but the soccer field, there's sinkholes. The girls' softball field, I played softball there. It's in far worse condition. It's never been, it looks really, really bad. And I'm sure that it doesn't make safety code. So I'm here because for the community, I live in the community, it's my alma mater, and I'm also here because I've got a son who's an athlete. He's a promising baseball player, and we were lobbied hard all through 7th and 8th grade about where to send him to high school, and we're told, do not send him to CKM. And it just infuriated me because that's his home school. He's a public school kid. We believe in public school. Why should I move him out of his natural environment for a sport? And they said, because of the fields, because it increases his chances of being injured, and this is a kid that can play at the next level. And as I went and watched him play on those fields, and luckily he made varsity because the JV field is just unthinkable. And so I guess I'm here mostly to be the impassioned female, no surprise, to tell you, go take a peek at that back 40. McClatchy is our downtown diamond. It's a great school. Academics are wonderful. The back 40 needs attention. We're losing natural student population in Curtis Park, Lamb Park, Hollywood Park, parts of downtown, parts of Oak Park. There are parents with scholar athletes that are specifically sending their children to different schools, school down south, school up north. I'll let those names remain anonymous, and not sending them to their natural school because of the condition of the back 40, as I call it. So I'm thrilled when the other schools get work. I'm a huge public school supporter, teachers in my family. I loved going to school there, but it's time. There's been a lot of neglect. A lot of that back area hasn't been improved since the 60s. So I'm asking you to take an hour in your afternoon, and go walk it. And be prepared when you look at some of the tennis courts, when you look at the sinkholes in the soccer field, okay? And when you look at the girls' softball field, and when you look at the mud puddle that's behind shortstop where my son plays, okay? So there's work that needs to be done, and we're here to help that happen for the community, for the kids, for everybody. And that's...
Thank you for your time. And we just ask you to take those measure funds that have been voted on and consider the McClatchy campus for some of those resources.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome, Superintendent Bonda and Board Chair Mr. Wu. My name is LaShanya Brazil, a parent of Sacramento School District and a member of the Black Parallel School Board. Tonight I want to just provide you an update on the Black Parallel School Board scope of work we are currently engaged in. Just to inform you that the Black Parallel School Board hosted a college and scholarship one-on-one workshop on November 7th, 2015. Over 50 parents and youth have participated, obtaining information on college scholarships and SAT and ACT tests. Secondly, we are pleased to be able to participate in the district administration regulation meetings regarding the new school discipline policy taking place currently now in November. And then third, the Black Parallel School Board will actively engage in the district strategic planning process. And with that being said, Dr. Al Rogers is scheduled to attend our meeting on December 5th, 2015, and we hope that Dr. Rogers will be able to attend other meetings that we are setting up in the month of December as well. And then lastly, the Black Parallel School Board will support positive district initiative that will ensure high quality support for students of African descent, And thank you, Ms. LaShanya Brazil with the Black Parallel School Board. And remember, let's build and work together a bright and meaningful 21st century multicultural education.
Thank you, Ms. Brazil.
Hello, hi. I'm the parent of Anthony Figueroa. He's an elementary student at Hartness Elementary School. And I'm here for basically for all the parents' awareness of injuries that are taking place in the school. Basically, my son was injured at noon in the afternoon, and I went to pick him up basically at 3 o'clock in the after school, and he had a head injury, what ended up in the hospital. Nobody called. He's bleeding and throwing up in class, and I think our teachers need to be aware of injuries. And when I try to get answers, I'm being told that it's a private matter. I have it on recording if you'd like to hear it now. It's not a private matter. I'm a parent. My son's in first grade. He's a little guy. If he's throwing up in class and you spend 3 hours from 12 o'clock till 3 o'clock with my child, you should see he's bleeding, he's throwing up. It's explanatory. I just want basic answers what happened to my son. And I want the teachers to understand, if a child gets a head injury or any kind of injury, what seems more serious, you don't need to be a parent to know what an injury is. Let's deal with it. Let's not just put them in class, sit them down. Let's take care of it, because my sons, both of them, get very good grades. They do their homework. But what good is it if they're going to have a serious head injury and not be able to cope with it in life? And the only thing I'm asking from your board is please look into it. And I don't want to excuse that it's private and we can't talk about it. I want to know what happened and why was he sitting in class throwing up for 3 hours. Medical bills are right here. Medical bills are here from Kaiser. The police report is right here. What's going on in our school? It was a substitute. The regular teacher would never have acted in that behavior. And it's appalling. It's depressing. He can't even, he's doing his ABCs. How can he explain this? So, I mean, as a parent, as a human being, can we take care or can we deal with this situation that if a child gets hurt, let's take care of it? And I gave a copy of the letter that I sent to the school district. I gave a letter to the school, and what I get, we can't talk about it. It's unacceptable. And thank you for your time.
Mr. Figueroa, some of my colleagues have some questions, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Member Ryan and then Member Rodriguez.
I am so sorry for your experience. I actually had my light on the earlier item, though, for the Black Parallel School Board.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. So I'll go ahead and speak to that after Diana makes her comments on this item.
Mr. Figueroa, as your area representative, it causes me great concern, and I apologize deeply on the behalf of Sacramento City Unified School District for your experience that you've had with your son. My own children attended Harkness, and I can tell you that stuff like that doesn't just happen at Harkness as a normal. So it doesn't mean as an excuse, but I have a feeling that we do have to do a little bit more extra care and due diligence in ensuring that our substitute staff as well is informed. But I've asked Ms. Concy McGarn to chat with you before you leave. She'll pass along your information to me, and she'll also share my information with you, and you can call me. But I'm sure she'll be looking into this matter in greater detail. Thank you for coming today.
I really appreciate it. I'm really sorry that I have to come here instead of sitting in a meeting with someone with the school district.
I'll give you one of my cards so if in the future you can share with other parents as well.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa.
So I wanted to speak to the update for the Black Pearl School Board. You can come up, it's fine. I'm not actually asking any questions. But I just want to recognize the instrumental leadership role that they've played in informing and negotiating our school discipline policy. And I'm happy to share that I, along with other stakeholders, am working in close collaboration with them to develop administrative regulations that we believe will reduce the number of disproportionate suspensions and expulsions for students of color in Sacramento City Unified School District, which unfortunately is an epidemic that we continue to struggle with. So thank you for those efforts, and to the district for moving forward and convening these conversations around instituting those administrative regulations with fidelity.
Thank you, Member Ryan.
Our next four public commenters on item 7.0 are David Fisher, Karen Sweat, Victoria Camargo, and Angie Sutherland.
Good evening. Thank you, President Wu, Superintendent Banda, and board members. Before I begin my prepared remarks, it's with a heavy heart that I'm announcing to those of you who may not know that Lydia Cruz passed away yesterday. I worked with Lydia for almost 20 years at CV Wire. Her and I were together in one of some founding teachers of the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project, and she's a ferocious advocate for her community and her kids. And anyway, she will be missed. Now for the prepared remarks. I want to speak about the impending crisis in this district surrounding teacher recruitment and retention. This is an issue that's of central concern not only to the 2,500 teachers in the district, like myself and Nikki, but to parents who want the best and the brightest teaching their kids. One component of attracting and retaining teachers has to do with the working conditions and learning environment. And as you know, one of SCTA's highest priorities has always been to reduce class sizes. We were extremely disappointed earlier this year when the district rejected our offer to accelerate class size reduction by using a portion of the $45 million in enhanced revenue the district had received last year alone. Teachers were even willing to accept a lower wage increase if the district was prepared to accelerate class size reduction. We know that one factor that teachers look at when deciding where to teach are the number of students they will be teaching. And there is no justification for classes in Sac City to be substantially higher than those in Elk Grove or San Juan. For reasons not at all clear to us, acting on your behalf, the district rejected our proposal out of hand. As a result of this rejection, we turned our focus to another critical component of teacher recruitment and retention, teacher salaries. And here too, Sac City is critically lacking. Unlike the salaries for top administrators, where Sac City pays between 7 and 18% higher than market value, when it comes to classroom teachers, the district pays 18 to 30% below market. Numbers the district doesn't even challenge. Today, I myself would be making $10,188 more if I were paid on the Elk Grove salary schedule. I am not the exception. The district has a great opportunity to address this issue immediately by agreeing to our proposal to immediately raise wages by 5%, making a dent, but still not erasing, the wage deficit of Sac City teachers compared to those in neighboring districts. Just today, San Juan teachers reached another agreement to raise their wages by 3.25% after they had raised them 4.5% last year for almost 8% in the last year. We next meet with the district on December 1st. Wouldn't it be great and a welcome sight and a great recruiting tool for representatives of the district and SCTA to be standing side by side announcing a wage agreement and publicizing the benefits, including competitive salaries, to prospective teachers who may be considering our district as a place to work. Finally, I want to add on this topic of teacher recruitment that we've made a number of suggestions to the districts to improve and expedite the hiring process in the spring so that the district can be much more competitive in recruiting teachers, beginning with the approximately 100 student teachers who are already familiar with our district. At the end of the day, however, the most efficient process in the state cannot overcome a district's failure to provide educators with a competitive salary. For the first time in a generation, the district has the resources to address this problem and this crisis and take a much needed step toward making Sac City a destination district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Karen Sweat, Making Sense Work. And I apologize, I'm here to complain. And it's kind of trivial compared to some of the things that you've been hearing. However, a major characteristic of accountability is the district org chart. We have had many changes at the top. We've had new positions. There's been some changes. Our current org chart is March 2015, and there are new people. The district cannot be held accountable. People can be held accountable, but if we don't know who they are, we can't go to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. We're not here to complain or anything. We have a concern and a request. I'm Victoria Camargo. This is Cheyenne. She goes to Johnson High School, and she's on the wrestling team, and they have to download an app to keep track of their calories. And she went into the cafeteria, and she asked them if they can list the calories and stuff on the menus. And they said they're not required, so they're not going to do it. So I'm asking you, can the school district do that on the menus so that when they're posted, the calories can be on there? Because I know that more than just wrestling has to count their calories, because they have to keep track of their weight and their food and everything, because the coach looks at that app every day. So just seeing, that's my request. My concern is it's not on there. So that's it. Thanks.
You. Oh, Ms. Ryan.
While Ms. Sutherland is approaching the microphone, if our next three speakers can please line up: Angel Garcia, Adrian Moreno, and Grace Trujillo.
We're kind of actually together, so.
Sorry, Daryl was just acknowledging me. So I just want to speak to Karen. We can absolutely do that. I think that's a very modest and reasonable request, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. And I also wanted to speak on this last issue. State law passed a few years ago to require the posting of calories for chain restaurants, and it seems absolutely reasonable as we try to talk about a school district with salad bars at every single school site and trying to promote greater nutrition for our students, that we do the same in Sacramento City Unified. So we will definitely look into that, and thank you for bringing the suggestion to us.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angie Sutherland, and I'm the chair of the Community Advisory Committee. So several of us are here tonight. We just had a meeting on Tuesday night, and one of the topics was a strategic plan presentation. And so we just wanted to say thank you to everyone who showed up for that. Al Rogers, Kathy Morrison, for presenting and fielding all of our questions and then hearing all of our concerns and input. And also to Member Arroyo for coming. We really appreciate you being there and just attending and supporting us and listening and giving us your insight. And we had a really great turnout for the meeting. We had our student member, we had various parent members, lots of new parent faces. We also had a group of Sac State students who were there for a comms class assignment. And so it was a really great meeting. We're going to be talking about the feedback that we provided as a CAC. One of the items is regarding the equity. We didn't notice in the plan that students with disabilities were really included. It references all students, and it also references some other groups, but we really think that they need to specifically list out students with disabilities as a group in the plan, because otherwise it leaves them in their own silo and it doesn't include them. And then also we had a parent forum immediately following and some additional feedback that mirrored what was discussed with the strategic plan, but we also talked about the need for character development at our school sites to return as a focus. Students with disabilities also need adults with disabilities as role models to be self-advocates. And more emphasis is needed on transition skills, on youth who are leaving high school and moving on to careers or college. And then the single plans for student achievement. The concern is that we don't feel that special ed students are always being included in those, and that the special ed voice is not part of the planning process. So we would like to encourage schools to reach out more. We need to know when the elections are. We need to be, they just kind of pop up and they're not really publicized. So we need that to happen. And then Angel Garcia is going to speak next. She's going to give some more feedback on the focus areas that we talked out regarding the strategic plan. Thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Bonda, President Wu, board members. So I just wanted to let you guys know about the various comments and feedback that we received regarding the strategic plan. One of the areas of focus was on teacher training, Common Core, state standards teacher training, and really moving away from the train the trainer model. It doesn't have really good outcomes, and we really would like to see our teachers, especially in regards to having training for special needs children, to have what Al Rogers called wall-to-wall training. So not train the trainer models, but moving away from that model into a more in-depth training for teachers. Additionally, we talked about technology resources need to be innovated, expanded, and equitable. So not all students have access to technology. I'm sure you guys all know with the testing, there was a lot of technology kind of issues. Not everybody has equity and the same resources in regards to technology. Then also access for students with disabilities to standards-based curriculums and SDCs. One of the attendees talked about, teachers deciding what they're going to teach and not aligning it to core competencies. And although students may be on a certificate track, to really be able to measure what they're learning in class. That was a concern. Additionally, career readiness in schools. So career development skills, I think, is needed throughout our district. So something like, self-exploration, career exploration, planning and management. Work-based learning opportunities are really, there's limited opportunities for all students. For students with disabilities, rarely are there opportunities. Students with disabilities start having a transition plan typically at 16. At 16, you really don't want to barely be thinking about your career. If we really believe that all of our students need to be college and career ready, we need to think about career pathways for all students across the spectrum, and we need to think about preparing all students for a job or some type of training. Additionally, there was concerns with plans being developed at school sites and school site councils not having students with disability voices. Often parents that attended felt that people who served on school site councils were pre-selected by other parents. Additionally, school culture and bullying prevention. We had a student perspective that talked at the Community Advisory Committee. He'll be talking next. But really, when we talk about inclusion, and that's the big word, inclusivity, inclusion, community inclusion, workplace inclusion, education, inclusion in education, but there's often bullying or, not understanding those with disabilities. And so for schools, they really need a preventative measure, prevention measures, opposed to reaction. I know at my son's school, he goes to Cal. I just got done with a long conversation yesterday, and their plan for bullying is to mark a student who's a bully, and that plan follows them. That doesn't really help. There needs to be a formal bullying program, number one, and number two, they have a high percentage of students with disabilities there. There really needs to be disability education. I want to remind the board about the Fair Education Act. SB 48 was passed in 2011 and went into effect in 2012. What it did, it changed the ed code for elementary and secondary schools on required courses of study, in particular social science. The same way that we're supposed to positively represent people of color, we also need to represent people with disabilities and their impact to our California and U.S. history. So I just want to remind folks about that. We had a lot of good comments, and thank you, Member Arroyo, for coming, and we're really happy that Al Rogers was able to present.
Good evening, everyone, and I would like to give a public comment about a main problem that is going on in a lot of schools right now. I would like to give a public comment about bullying and how we could fix it. I've been noticing for these past 3 months at my school, Cal Middle School, that there has been a lot of bullying going around, especially towards kids with special needs. And I thought of an idea how we could fix it. I would like it if the school district could allow a club at all schools that other students could join and learn about disabilities. I think that this will help stop bullying so they can understand kids with autism, because we should be all equal to everyone. And none of us should be treated differently. We should all be treated the same. And I think that there shouldn't be any bullying going on at all, whether if somebody has a disability. So I think that this would be a great way to fix bullying. And I want to thank you for listening to my public comment. And I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Banda and Darrell Wu. One of the things I think we came up as a group, and I think we were talking about, Grace, what are you going to talk about? And I said, you know what? I'm going to wrap it up at the end to see what's the emotion. And I think one of the things here is training. I think we all need training, and it could be administrators, teachers, janitors, all across the board, understanding the whole school in the process. As you see, one child has been affected by bullying, and it could be affected impact for the rest of his life. And that's the same thing is when there's not proper training, it also affects a human being, an adult, that sometimes works so hard, and sometimes they're falsely accused. And sometimes it's because of lack of training. And I think in this particular situation, lack of training goes a long ways. I know for the LCAP, it's not address how it's going to meet. I know right now we have the money and there's funds available. What we need to do is figure out how we're going to be training, hiring new people. I don't think about so much the raises because I think when there's the cutbacks, at least we'll have the knowledge. Our schools, we need to bond together. And I think one of the things that Board Member Arroyo brought up is that Sacramento School District is finally opening up and saying, you know what, we're not doing things right. How are we going to fix it? But fix it together. Not dancing and trying to say who's going to do what, but how are we going to do it together? Like my husband was telling me, Grace, they'll be using fighting words. Because guess what? Fighting words don't get anywhere. And I think it closes the person up, and there's not time to talk about. This is being someone that's been married for 18 years, and I think, if you know my husband, he's very quiet, and he tells me, Grace, there's fighting words, I close because I'm going to lose them, and I don't want to do that. And if you guys knew the problems that we've had in the past month of October have been very difficult. But guess what? We kept it together because there's communication, working together, and collaboration. And I think that's what CAC is all about. We've been working together, collaborating, And at the same time, I've had false accusations, but I found it in my heart to forgive and look forward, because one person's not going to change me. On the contrary, it's going to make me stronger. So thank you. And I said, thank you for all your work, and thank you for the great team that we have, and hopefully it'll continue.
Thank you. Member Ryan?
So just one really quick statement. I want to thank the young man for the courageous and poignant statements that he shared. Last year around this time, I launched an effort called No Child Eats Alone Day as part of a statewide nonprofit called Beyond Differences. We piloted at a middle school this idea that we would set aside a day to really promote inclusivity and eating with people that we didn't know, so that we were encouraging an anti-bullying conversation. I want to say to the young man, your suggestion was phenomenal. Beyond Differences actually has a toolkit for a club, and this year I've already talked to the district about expanding that No Child Eats Alone Day to all of our middle schools, and we're going to be working to do that. But I also think we should work with you to put a Beyond Differences club at our school sites. So thank you so much for your courage, for coming up with a great idea, and bringing it forward to us tonight.
Thank you, Member Ryan.
We do have one more comment on item 7.0 from Darlene Anderson.
I saw you out there, and I was surprised I hadn't heard.
Sorry for my lateness. I'm a commissioner for the mayor too, so I had my school site council meeting tonight, and so this is the last stop. But what I have to say is that it's so important, parent involvement, and what's really important is the community understanding the role of the public school system, and when they send their children to the public school, what the expectation is. And I think that over time, and it's been over a long time, that the expectation has kind of dropped for kids who are put in SDC classes or LD classes, because the parents aren't getting the option for a high school diploma. And I think that's very unfortunate, because it lowers the expectations for teachers too. They find themselves not having to give those opportunities for those children to reach high school graduation and get that high school diploma that will lead to a college education, because our colleges are finding themselves in particular conflicted, positions, because the kids are getting there and they're so far behind. And so the only way you change this is to raise the expectations. I think inclusive practices is where the district needs to go. We shouldn't really have this separation just because kids are 2 to 3 grade levels below. They get that way because somebody neglected to move them along. And this district has an opportunity to now change, because we have the LCAP money, and it does exist. We have the Title I, and we have a focus on actually providing opportunities for all kids and really focusing on moving kids along. I think it's unfortunate that we still struggle, and we say we have school site councils that represent everyone, and we can so quickly ignore the voice of the parent or ignore the voice of the community when we know that we're not providing adequate services. And so it's really difficult to micromanage staff being board, but board has to accept responsibility because they are the problem. You set the standard and you allow people to work towards it, because if somebody doesn't want to work with your children, then quite frankly, they may need to move on and get another job. It's unacceptable that kids are in 7th grade that are doing 3rd grade work. And it's unacceptable to know that what are we going to do with those children as a community when they don't graduate with basic skills, because there's nowhere for them to go except for prison. And so we need to ask ourselves, what is our job? What are we really here for? And how will we effectively manage the public's resources? Because these are monies that are generated by everybody in the community. When parents get off at that light rail station down there, they have to walk down 47 to get here, because there is no bus to get them here. So even though you have a parent center, you have no way for parents to get here, even if they're coming from Land Park. So I just think we should think about the impact of the community that we're putting people in, and the expectation when those people have children when they graduate. What will those children be doing? Thank you for your indulgence, and thank you.
That eats into your next card, Item 8.0, consent agenda. I have a motion to move the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a second. I have a public comment.
We have a comment on 8.1A from Karen Sweat.
You look familiar.
I changed my hair just for you.
Weren't you here just 2 minutes ago?
Karen Sweat, Making Sense Work. On the consent agenda, you are approving an expenditure of $2.8 million for after-school programs. There are two pots of money in that item. One is state and one is federal. They are identified in an escape resource summary report, a period 4 report, and the current total amount posted is $11 million. There is probably a logical explanation for the $8 million difference. Perhaps the posted budget reflects carryover from unspent last year. The agenda item does not identify the resources with clarity. But my concern is the current LCAP after-school action steps are identified on 4 pages that I could find, and the amount to be expended is confusing. The total of those 4 action steps is $46 million. But I'm probably reading the LCAP wrong. The LCAP does not clearly identify the resource. It uses only words after school or grant. The LCAP simply does not provide enough information for it to be an accountability document. I believe the resource codes, both on the agenda items and in the LCAP, would help. I think these 2 resources are 4610 and 4124. The checkbook or the SACS expenditure reports show that all of the spending is at 6 different departments at the CERNA. I won't list them. This by itself does not necessarily seem like a problem, but perhaps it should be clear in the LCAP how each of these individual departments are supporting a specific LCAP goal. I bring this to your attention for a simple reason. My hope is that at some point in the near future, you, the board, will address the need to examine exactly what it means when you see the word accountability in the name, the Local Control Accountability Plan. Who is being held accountable? Who is being held accountable? I'm a rules person. This is uncomfortable. Who is being held accountable if the dollars actually spent don't match the plan? I accept the fact that there may be explanations, but in the end, those explanations need to match the checkbook, and the LCAP needs clarity. Thank you.
So I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 9.1, approved resolution, renewal of the charter for Capital Collegiate Academy. Mr. Kramer.
Good evening, Board President Wu, esteemed board members, and Superintendent Bonda. I am Jack Kramer. On behalf of the District's Charter Review Team, I will be presenting the findings and recommendations for the renewal petition of Capital Collegiate Academy. Alongside me is outside legal counsel, Ed Scalar from Lozano Smith, and where did you go? Kristen Fiorelli from Capital Collegiate, the principal. Thank you. Tonight's presentation will entail an overview of the charter school, SCUSD Charter Review Team, minimal standard for charter renewal, criteria for denying a charter renewal, and finally, the staff's findings and recommendation. Capital Collegiate is in its 5th year of operation. It opened its doors August 2011, and it has an enrollment of 269 as a K-8 school. Currently, it serves students K through 4 in its slow growth model. The school is located at 2118 Meadowview Road. The charter is independent. The renewal petition was submitted on September 18th with public hearing held on October 15th. Their current charter expires June 30th, 2016. The charter review team is comprised of 14 of our district's finest, along with outside legal counsel Ed Scalar. Each member of the team reviewed elements within their own respective areas of expertise. The minimum standard for charter renewal per Ed Code is that at least one of the 4 listed criteria must be met. Due to suspension of most CSTs in 2013-14, criteria 1 through 4 in API are no longer relevant nor applicable. Hence, criterion 4 was utilized as the team's basis for academic performance determination. The use of criterion 4 aligns with AB 484 and is consistent with the CDD's advisory. District staff finds that Capital Collegiate's academic performance is at least equal to that of the district and its comparison schools. District staff finds that Capital Collegiate meets the requirement of criterion 4. In order to deny a charter renewal per Ed Code, the governing board must make written factual findings to support one or more of the 5 listed criteria. Criteria to deny a charter renewal are: the charter school presents an unsound educational program, the charter school is demonstrably unlikely to successfully implement the program, the renewal petition does not contain the necessary affirmations, the renewal petition does not contain reasonably comprehensive descriptions of the 16 elements, and finally, the petition does not include evidence that the charter school met one of the 4 required academic performance criteria. After review of the renewal petition and the revised petition, district staff finds that Capital Collegiate meets the requirements of all 5 criteria. It is the SCUSD Charter Review Team's recommendation to adopt resolution number 2861 to approve the renewal of the charter for Capital Collegiate Academy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Do we have any speakers?
We have 2 comments on this item from Jennifer Elam and Kristen Fiorelli.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Banda. I'd like to cede my time to Kristen Fiorelli, the school leader.
Well, that's one way to get more time.
Of which I certainly won't be taking all of it. Good evening, Superintendent Banda, members of the board, and President Wu. I am Kristen Fiorelli. I'm the principal of Capital Collegiate. It's my pleasure to be here as you consider our charter renewal this evening. I'm very proud to represent the school community of Capital Collegiate, our students and their families, over 150 of whom were here on behalf of our school last month at our public hearing. We're a strong, diverse, and proud school community. 96% of our families are consistently satisfied with our academic standards and expectations, the quality of instruction, and their child's overall progress. Their work, along with the work of our very diligent staff, 65% of whom are people of color, has led to strong student outcomes. Our students are achieving at high levels on the first administration of the Smarter Balanced Assessment. In ELA, 52% of our students were in achievement levels 3 or 4, 14 points higher than the California average, 17 points higher than the county average. In math, 54% of our students were in achievement levels 3 and 4, again, higher than the California average and the county average. Equally as important for us to consider is the performance of our 2 major subgroups, Black and Hispanic Latino students. For our African American students in ELA, they scored 44 points higher than the state average and 48 points higher than the county average. In math, 38 points higher than the state and 42 than the county. Our Hispanic Latino students also had impressive outcomes, scoring in ELA 18 points higher than the state and 16 points for math. Capital Collegiate, for our third graders who took the assessment, were the highest performing Title I third graders in the district and the highest performing charter school in the district, again for our third graders. Our third graders performed at least 30 to 40 points higher than students in the 7 surrounding schools, the similar schools our students would otherwise attend. So clearly, we're incredibly proud of this work and the very clear value we are adding to the educational landscape in South Sacramento. And finally, last week at our all-school meeting, students were sharing what they're grateful for in the spirit of Thanksgiving. Lashara, a fourth grader that I've had the privilege of knowing since she was in kindergarten, shared, quote, "I'm grateful for my mom for sending me to Capital Collegiate, a school that not only believes I'll go to college, but works hard with me every day to help me get there. I get up every day for Lashara and all of her peers. Our goal as a school community is an unwavering focus on students, their academic outcomes, and their success in high school, college, and life. Thank you."
Thank you, Principal Farrelly. Any further speaker slips, Mr. Ross? Any questions from my colleagues? Okay, this is an action. Member Cochran?
Thank you very much for speaking, Ms. Fiorelli. I have a question for Lozano Smith or maybe Mr. Kramer. What were the comparison schools in the district?
The comparison schools were the schools that the students of Capital Collegiate would have gone had there not been the charter, as well as with other charters within Sac City as well.
Can you tell me the names of the schools?
Yes.
Thanks. While you're looking it up, I'll just finish the rest of my comments. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I should have thumbed through myself and found them, but I appreciate you looking
Okay, I do
for
have
them.
it.
Okay.
Let's see. The comparison to the similar schools that they would have gone to would be Kimball, Baker, Sloat, Still, Pacific, Parkway, and Parks. We also have comparisons with our Title I schools as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So anyone who's watched the school board or is interested on the way school board members think, you know that I am not a charter advocate at all. I 100% believe in our public education, the school system, and I think that any kind of independent charters is undermining it. You know, I have a very wise colleague here on the board who I've discussed this a lot with, and sometimes we have charters who come up for renewal who actually are very good and are doing a much better job than our regular schools are. My colleague said, don't abstain because you give away your vote, you don't have your voice heard. But I think that in this case, I will abstain. And the reason is I'm not convinced that the education program at the school is perfect, but they have a model which we need to adopt. And that's, they have, in most of their classrooms, they have 2 or more teachers or assistant teachers in the classroom. And this is very effective, especially for lower income, less privileged students who live in the south side of Sacramento. So when the vote comes, I will abstain, but I also plead and say to you, Ms. Fiorelli, come to public education because this is not helping us, this is undermining us. And it is a fact that most teachers who start to go into maturity teaching, they go out of the charter schools and go become teachers in public education because they can't get the benefits or the salary when you're in a charter school. You are driven, you are committed, and you're passionate. You're exactly the type of person and you to come into public education and help it. This is not helping us. Thank you.
Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Wu, and I want to thank my colleague. She's likewise a very wise colleague as well. Every now and then, we either stumble upon good relationships with charter schools, or that happens with a special intent, whatever that is. When I see a charter that works so well for children who are often overlooked in other circumstances, those are the ones that I'm more compelled to advocate for and assist. And so with that, I move to approve the resolution 2861 to approve the renewal of Capital Collegiate.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Vice President Pritchett. All those have any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion, one abstention. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 9.2, approve local control and accountability plan parent advisory committee selection. Dr. Rogers.
Don't go too far because you're going to be moving some slides. Good evening, Board President Wu, board members, Superintendent Banda. I'm Al Rogers, and to my left I have Ms. Kathy Morrison. We are here this evening to review with you the Local Control Accountability Plan Advisory Committee selection. And that will result in the board's selection of the committee and a bit of a review of the process that is leading up to that. So first off, I'll connect with the requirements of the LCAP, noting that the board and the district is expected to establish a parent advisory committee, and in doing this, they'll get advice or guidance and feedback from that committee. And note that the district uses a democratic selection process that will give each of you a voice in putting that committee together. That process included an application that was posted online and circulated in as many different ways as we could, and will result in a 16-member committee made up again by board appointees, and each board member will have the opportunity to select 2 members from the pool of applicants, as well as the superintendent.
So, good evening, President Wu, Superintendent, and board members. I'm Kathy Morrison, talking a little bit about the committee's role and scope. This is the plan that was laid out last year, and the 3 things we highlighted for the committee is 1, synthesizing stakeholder input. We will be seeking stakeholder input through our surveys, community meetings, school site meetings, and we rely on this group to help us review the data and the feedback that comes in through those multiple venues, and to help us see common themes and needs. Additionally, the committee will be informed on the implementation of the 15-16 LCAP as we look at the progress we're making towards our goals in the 2nd year of the Local Control and Accountability Plan. And lastly, the principal outcome is the group will review and comment on the LCAP draft, providing a written report to the superintendent, to which, by statute, he must reply. This is a good time to point out, although it's not in the slide, that we have established this year, as you're aware, a parallel committee for English language learners. As you know, using a DLAC, or District English Learners Advisory Committee, meets the statute, but we did hear loud and clear from our community that parents and families of English learners wished to have deeper conversations and more involvement in the process. So our EL, Parent Advisory Committee, will be a subcommittee of DLAC, but they will operate in parity with the board-appointed LCAP Parent Advisory Committee. They will have the same conversations, same activities. They'll be exposed to the same materials so that we can achieve depth of knowledge for all. And so the scope and responsibilities will be the same for both. For this English language Parent Advisory Committee, we did recruitment through not only the website, but through direct outreach to ELACs, to participants in the parent leadership workshop classes, attendees at the Parent Information Exchange PI meetings, and lastly, through the DLAC, which held its first meeting last week. So we're pleased to announce that we do have 9 applicants for this committee, and we will be accommodating all of them. There are 5 who represent Spanish speakers, 3 Hmong, and 1 Ukrainian. So this is a pretty simple slide. The demographics of the committee need to represent our community and also the subgroups that are specifically mentioned in the law. We will make sure that we have at least 10 parents of the 16 and no more than 3 staff members. The breakdown of Title I, English learner, etc., is very, very closely mirrored to the percentage of those populations in our school district. So you have seen this slide before, our engagement strategy. We have added a box to represent the engagement that we have with experts, both internal and external. We wanted to show that there are many times that we consult with our district leadership, we consult with post-secondary institutions, and even state researchers and officials to make sure that the strategies that are put in place in the LCAP represent research-based strategies that support student achievement. So before I turn it back to Dr. Rogers, I want to state that our conversation about the LCAP really is to be inclusive in terms of engagement. And for those folks who may have applied for the committee, but unfortunately due to numbers are not able to be selected tonight, there are many, many opportunities for them to continue involvement with the LCAP.
So here's what you can anticipate next. We'll continue with the review of the district's needs assessment. We'll be exploring that with the committee. You can anticipate receiving information on implementation of the LCAP. We'll make sure, or we'll try to make sure, that everybody understands the progress toward and alignment with the strategic plan. We will also expect the committee members to serve as PEVs and help share the strategic plan and of course the LCAP with the stakeholders they represent. By early spring, we should be in a position to review the full draft and provide an annual update. And of course, we'll be updating on the strategic plan. Finally, later spring, we will complete the cycle 2 feedback that we had described before, along with other engagement activities that have taken place throughout the year. And that will lead you to a full and complete draft of the LCAP for your review, and of course of the strategic plan. So we're at the point where we're going to go for an appointment process, and we would pass the mic, so to speak, to Board President Wu.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Do I have discussion?
Public comment.
Excuse me. We do have public comments. President Wu, do you want to take the comments after the appointments?
No, let's hear them now. How many do you have?
We have 5 comments on this item. From Kamika Edwards, Karen Sweat, Bob Hammis, Darlene Anderson, and Terrence Gladney.
I'll take them.
Good evening. My name is Kamika Edwards. Thank you to the board president and superintendent and all of the other members. Thank you for this opportunity to convey appreciation and constructive feedback on the advisory committee selection process. I'm a proud parent of 2 Kennedy kiddos. My son, Airman Edwards, is currently serving in the Air Force, class of 2013. And my baby girl, Jamila, is class of 2016. She graduates this year. I've been as active a parent as I know how, and to the best of my ability, time, energy, funds, and other resources have allowed me to be. Like many other parents, I feel that now I can do more with older kids, and so I'm thankful for the opportunity to apply for the LCAP Advisory Committee. As a 15-year veteran of classroom teaching, about 7 with Sac City Unified from 2007 to 2014, I wonder how many of my former parents got the same opportunity as me. I'm monolingual. I'm a college-educated professional. I have access to computer and internet, and earlier some comments were made about inclusivity and equity and access. I applaud the board's efforts to ensure the advisory committee is diverse and representative of our district. But may I suggest investing in maybe radio or TV publicity? I had the opportunity to go to the meeting for Sacramento Community Priority Coalition, and a community partner said that a lot of her parents, Spanish-speaking parents, do get a lot of their information from radio. Also, good old-fashioned snail mail still works in multilingual formats, just to be more inclusive. I don't know the size of the applicant pool or the diversity or how many, but I do know it had to be reopened, but these efforts and others could ensure meeting the board's meaningful goal of an inclusive and representative advisory committee. Hopefully the next round of participant selection will utilize these and other means to promote this opportunity so that parents can have a voice. And I get parent engagement is tough. I've been alone in the classroom for parent conferences, academic parent-teacher team, low turnout, and just looking at the data of when's the best time, when's the best date, it's difficult, but just the more you reach out, I'm sure, casting a wide net. Finally, once a core of committed individuals is identified, would the board consider asking volunteers to continue their advisory work the following school year to ensure continuity and ongoing experience? Possibly a staggered term could be agreed upon, or a minimum annual commitment like the LCAP committee in San Juan Unified School District. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Ms. Sweat? Ms. Sweat, you wanna? No, let them talk to speakers. You get a minute and a half because you ate up half a minute from the prior one.
Use all my time the first time.
You were on it tonight.
Karen Swatt, Making Sense Work. I think there is a major problem with the timeline. Consider this, the DAC, which was a district advisory committee of parents, which was created as a result of statute of Ed Code, was in place because of $14.6 million in our last year. They have a place on your agenda once a month, every month. Consider LCFF this year, at this point in time, again, period 4, $251.7 million, plus about another $100 million in add-ons, and they haven't reported to you yet because they're not in existence. The DAC is reporting to you $14 million. The LCAP is not reporting to you $251.7 million. It simply doesn't make sense. And I will yield my last minute to you.
Thank you.
Little Jew.
Member Cochran.
Oh, thank you, President Wu. And this is just very brief. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just know you're fine. I just wanted to say thank you. And I understand your name is Kamika, way in the back. Yay. I've never had the pleasure of meeting you. And I just really have one thing to say, and that is thank you. You're a golden parent, and this is a wonderful thing that you've done for your children and for the district. Thank you for your time and commitment. Thank you.
No, because you guys were talking to me.
Good evening, Superintendent and board members. I just wanted to take this opportunity to address some issues with the selection process of the LCAP advisory members. And can that slide go back one? at all. I just wanted to see, if you look at this timeline, you see the number of things that need to be done in the fall, winter. And right now, by the time the board, the LCAP Advisory Committee gets together, you can pretty much take that fall off that list there. So I just wanted to ask the board to consider changing the election process to the spring for the following year so that the LCAP Advisory Committee could hit the ground running in the fall, in September. The other change that I would like you to consider would also be thinking about, now I lost my train of thought. I think that was the main change, just that it takes so long that we would like the committee to have the full length of time to address this. Oh, I remember the last one, I'm sorry. The other issue is that I would like you to consider a staggered time on the committee. 1 year is not really enough. If you consider the district's budget, you're really looking at 3 years, and the budget is tied to the LCAP, so you'd be looking at the previous year, the current year's LCAP, and then planning for the next year. So 3 years would be my suggestion, but at least 2 would really make a big difference in having the advisory committee being, doing the best job possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Darlene Anderson once again. I just have to say that I remember when the district staff chose to organize around committee members and select a few so that they could have time to work with them. And quite frankly, it's not a democratic process. It's a way of eliminating the voice of the community, because we do live in a democracy, and anybody willing to participate in overseeing their tax dollars should have the opportunity to commit that time. And quite frankly, when I look at the African American community and the so few that have been brought along in overseeing the public use of funds, and I look at the failure rate in this district, I think it's atrocious. I think what's more atrocious is that when you get a few participants, you can clearly ignore them for a time frame. I'm 57 now, my oldest is 31, and I'm almost out the door because my last one is graduating soon. But what I will say as a community member and as a taxpayer, that the voice of the community is the oversight for the use of the public dollars. There's just no other oversight. So when people decide to do things, they get to do them, because who's overseeing them? A board who is engaged in good things that will happen for the community, but the public is the oversight. The people in the audience who attend the community meetings, they're the ones who oversee the dollars. And if you can't get in the door to oversee anything, quite frankly, you don't have to worry about it. But when I look at the failure of African American people and I say, we always have to look at equity and access. And Prop 209 prevents us from looking at targeted race issues. And I say, well, the African American community is really affected, quite simply, because that's taxation without representation. You don't have to look at what affects them simply because they're black. And I say, my, how good is that? Quite frankly, if you don't want to oversee and ensure that everybody participates at the same opportunity, then quite frankly, maybe you shouldn't oversee the funds for those people, because they do have rights. We're living in a country called United States of America. It's kind of like we're talking about not letting the Syrians come over here because they may blow up something, but guess what? Most people are not native to America, and they have rights too, because we're supposed to ensure that those rights exist and ensure that we're teaching our children to oversee the public interest, and we are talking about the public interest. So when we talk about the LCAP money, and I know that was generated for kids who have problems in the district, and then we limited who can participate and who we want to train the next year to work. It should have never been that way, because it does promote discrimination in programs and services.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
And so, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any further? I didn't hear his name.
I want to give a shout out.
Just Gladney, I haven't
We've
seen you
missed
in
you.
weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while.
I've been working with my high schoolers and all my kids in my community, so I figured I'd take a break from the adults. You guys are a little bit harder to work with. I'm Terrence Gladney. Let's see, what do I want to share with you guys today? When I was young, one of the things I used to do in my free time that I really enjoy was playing Connect the Dots. I mean, it's not very complex. It's pretty much just connecting small pieces of information, sequential numbers to make a big picture. The problem I had as a LCAP committee member, on the past committee that we had was that we didn't get all those dots to connect. We were given a picture that was already drawn for us, and we were asked to give input on it. And that wasn't something that I felt I want to be a part of again, and I expressed that very clearly to the board member that selected me last time. When I look at the way that our district works, we pay a lot of consultants who we deem to have the expertise that we need to do our job better as a district. We pay them a lot of money. We give them the latitude to tell us what we need to do and change to be better. But when we engage parents who volunteer their time, and I assume that you guys deem us to have the expertise, but we're not allowed to give our input as we see fit. When I sat through those meetings, hours on end, it was staff-driven. And how can we consult as parents when we're being led by the people we're supposed to be improving? That's not true empowerment, but I look at the new strategic plan layout, and it says that we're going from parent engagement to empowerment. How can we shift from one narrative to the other when we haven't perfected the first one? I just sat in a WASC meeting at Kennedy, and those are a group of people from outside the school who come in and make recommendations on what can be improved. They do ask the school site for which stakeholders they would like to engage and how they would like the process to work, but when it comes to the actual conversation, the administrators left the room. So we as parents are able to have an honest conversation. I like to see that replicated in the LCAP process. When I look at the layout for the timeline, the calendar is already set, which to me, if I were applying, would say that I already have had a part of my voice muted. And if you guys know me well enough, that's not something that I'm going to allow to happen. Another thing that I noticed was we're relying heavily on the PV process. I know that the parent engagement department, they do a lot of great work with their hands and they really engage parents. But we seem to have adopted this process, which I learned at the strategic plan meeting, was developed by a consultant. So we've kind of tied everything that we're doing around parent engagement to consultants, and we're trusting them, but why can we not trust those parents? I challenge the parents who you guys select. I challenge you guys as a board to change the narrative, and I offer myself as a resource. You guys know how to get a hold of me. Just because I'm not going to be entitled a part of the committee, I have no problem attending meetings or meeting with you guys to share my thoughts on what that process looked like and my insight through my years of parent engagement, as a parent and also as a parent leader to improve the process. Thank you.
So, like last year, what I'm going to do is go down the row and ask each of my colleagues to identify their two members for the LCAP committee, reserving for myself last, and then the superintendent can make his last two. So, Member Ryan?
I'm proud to have the opportunity to appoint two exemplary parent advocates from my area. I feel that that's a very important thing that we as board members do. My first appointment is a strong voice for students with disabilities, and we had an opportunity to hear from her again this evening, Angel Garcia. My second appointment is a carryover from last year. He was consistently told to me by other LCAP Parent Advisory Committee members to be a consistent, strong voice on policy and a steadying presence. He also is a parent in my area, represents the faith-based community, and is a strong organizer within areas and congregations together. Jason Weiner.
Thank you. Member Rodriguez.
Thank you. I am very proud to have a couple of exemplary appointees as well.
But before I give out the names, I do want to address some of the comments that were expressed by Mr. Gladney, because I do wholeheartedly agree that this should be parent-led. I believe that staff's role is to provide information, not to lead the parents into a particular decision, a particular outcome, or anything like that. When I select my members, I select my appointees with the understanding that they will be role models, that they will be leaders amongst other leaders, and that they will take their role seriously, and that they will constantly communicate with me. I have heard last year that some members were told not to communicate with their board members. I hope that I do not hear that again this year. Okay? I really am saying that publicly now, because if I hear it, it will become public again. So I say that with an extraordinary amount of caution. All right? I do believe in parent empowerment, and I'm empowering my selections to be just that. So with that, Frank DeYoung. And I'll spell out her name. Phoua Phua Lee. Susan B. Anthony.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Member Cochran?
Yes, I have chosen two people who have a great deal of depth, one in the community and one in the knowledge of education and the education process. I'm very happy to name a member of the Black Parallel School Board, Carl Pinkston, onto the committee, and I hope to hear from him and see if I can do anything to assist him. The other thing, or rather the other person that I'm pointing is Dr. Pia Wong. She has deep knowledge about the education system and is currently a professor and works with Sac State. These are two additions I think that will really help the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Hanson.
I'm reappointing the two people that I had appointed last year. I, like our speakers who made the point, believe it's really important to have continuity in the process, and that way staff can spend less time having to educate people and let them get to work. I think that would be great. Ray Green and Kate Woolley Van Buren.
I didn't catch the second one.
Kate Woolley Van Buren. Kate Woolley got married last year, so now she's Van Buren. So congratulations, Kate.
So we know her by Kate Woolley.
Oh, Ray, I'm sorry. Missed that. Member Royal.
Thank you, President Wu. I will make it short and sweet. Two people that have tremendous amount of experience being involved through numerous issues here in the district, either at the advisory council level or in the community. And the two individuals are Jonathan Tran and Edward Camargo.
Vice President Pritchett.
Thank you, President Wu. I did want to echo Member Rodriguez's comments about Mr. Gladney, and that I hope that you will reach out to him as a mentor for the LCAP committee. He's very knowledgeable, as you both know. So I ask that you please reach out to him in regards to this. My two choices are Veronica Guzman and Gabriela Cruz.
Well, I too prefer continuity in the meetings, and maybe we'll look at the makeup next time. But I could not coerce my appointments from last year to reapply. So this time I'm going to select Kamika Edwards and Christina Martinez. Superintendent.
Board President Wu, realizing that I am on the clock now.
Yes, you are.
With my first pick, I select Roy Alexander, CEO, Sacramento Children's Home, that represents many of the foster youth in our district. And with my second pick, I select Juanita Saldana, new administrator at Luther Burbank, assistant principal, who's very active in the LCAP development at her former district.
Thank you very much. So, Dr. Rogers, you have your team.
Got the team. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Reach out to them immediately. They got a lot of work to do.
Just wanted to confirm we met all the categories.
Member Rodriguez, I'm sorry, I didn't see your
Thank
number.
you. I have one more thing that I just popped into my brain. Last year, the committee members asked for data information, and they didn't get it because it was out of the scope or something like that. Please know that if anybody from the committee asks for information, you should provide it to them because they need that critical data in order to get to that next stage. All right?
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Member Arroyo.
Thank you, President Wu. Just very quickly, and this is something that I would like to ask either the superintendent, staff, and even the committee itself as they move forward. Part of the recommendation next year's calendar, and this is an issue that I had brought up in conversation with different folks of moving the calendar of the selection process and starting the LCAP sooner. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on, and for this year it got truncated, too many things going on. Nonetheless, if we can start taking the advice that was given earlier to maybe do this election by the end of the spring so that they do indeed start. And I think that this is the rationale. The budget that they are going to be commenting, it's a product that it's already pretty much done by the time they start meeting and then starting getting to the meat and potatoes of what their role is. Even if it's on an advisory role where they're not necessarily the ones drafting the budget, but for the district to get the full advice of what the feedback is or what the priorities are coming out of the LCAP to be better reflected in the budget, that means that the LCAP would have to start meeting sooner. So if that means working through the spring concurrently, even as the LCAP is meeting, to then set it up to start earlier, that might be something that we would really want to consider. Thank you.
Member Ryan.
Two quick comments. I want to thank the staff for hearing the board's feedback that our community felt like the message was not communicated, that we were going to be really allowing our LCAP Parent Advisory Committee to also help inform the strategic plan. And so after hearing that feedback, you reopened the application process. I think we got several additional strong candidates as a result of that. And I also just wanted to say, congratulations to everyone who was appointed. To those of you who were not, this was a very difficult applicant pool, and frankly, we had so many wonderful and dedicated parents looking to serve, and I hope that irrespective of whether or not a formal appointment was made, you will continue to be engaged in the process.
Thank you, Member Ryan. Thank you, Dr. Rogers.
Thank you.
Moving on then, item 9.3, monthly facilities update. Ms. Allen.
Well, good evening, President Wu and members of the board and Superintendent Banda. Ask some folks to step up. Got staff from McClatchy with us and architects. So tonight we thought it would be a great time to bring to you what's been happening in the planning process for our first core academic renovation project, which is at CK McClatchy High School. I'm joined by quite a few of them. I'm going to let Principal Lambert introduce them. I'll introduce Kevin Arwood. He's with the firm of Rainforth Grau Architects, and he'll be speaking as well in a few minutes. So we are going to share some information about the Visual and Performing Arts program that we've been working with staff with for quite some time. So just a couple of slides. I'm going to talk about what we did, and then I'm going to turn it over to the folks that you really want to hear from. Our first start was identifying the architectural firm. So we chose 3 firms from our very large list of qualified firms and then had an interview with site staff. RGA was picked as the architect to move forward. Then we started with some initial scoping meetings with our site staff to really kind of determine what they wanted to do at the site. We reached out to the community on 3 separate times beginning in July, and then we hit back to school night in September, and then we just just wrapped up our 8th grade recruitment fair, so that was kind of fun to participate in. And then on the site level, we actually met with site staff 4 different times officially, and then there were some other times that we met kind of unofficially as well to really dive down deep into what these classrooms need to look like and what the program needs to look like, and that really is what drove the design of this thing. In addition, some of the staff visited facilities at Folsom Cordova Unified School District to take a look at a couple of black box theaters and some visual and performing arts program spaces that they have there to get some ideas. And this is a picture of the floor plan, and we'll show you this again a little bit later. But what we like to do is we like to bring all the site staff that's been involved with the design process in, have them kind of go over it one more time, and then we'd like to get everybody's signature on it. So this kind of document will live with us for a really long time. This was done on November 6th. So really, really proud of the process. And now turn it over to Principal Lambert, who will say a few words and introduce some staff.
Good evening. As you can see, we're very proud of our school, C.K. McClatchy High School, and all of the tremendous accomplishments of our students. And we believe that there is a void within our district and within our region for the arts program. And we would like to fill that void. We're the largest school in the Sacramento City Unified School District, and we serve over 2,300 students at C.K. McClatchy High School. We are a destination school within our destination district, and to that end, we believe that this will be a tremendous opportunity for our district to serve the needs of the arts community within our region. And I'd like to introduce to you many of the staff that are here with us tonight that have been part of this planning as we have increased our number of offerings of arts programs at McClatchy High School in anticipation of the new facility that we would like to have there to meet the needs of our students. So with us this evening are Lenore Devereaux, Jairus Baker, Jonathan Hubbard, our administrative team, Matt Schlager, Gino Debrescu, Lise Martinez, and also speaking this evening, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Pat Cosgrove.
Superintendent and board members, this will read like an extended thank you, essentially. And I'm hoping to speak for the entire department here tonight. We're all very excited about this development. I don't think we have to sell you as board members on the idea that the arts are vital to a complete education. I mean, the research, tells us that. And I'm pretty safe here, I think, in assuming that we'd all be in agreement on this. We need arts in our schools. We also know that arts education has suffered in the budget realities affecting all publication. Everybody has been affected. And we do know that those needs are out there beyond our own. Still, all teachers in the arts have experienced, at times, the feeling of not being taken entirely seriously when there are so many other pressing needs that our kids really do have. However, tonight, we can stand proud at the district's commitment, a tangible, palpable commitment to provide a more meaningful art experience to all students at C.K. McClatchy High School. As a photography and film studies teacher, I'm just one example of this. When my students walk into a state-of-the-art computer lab that's also a shooting space where real studio photography under professional lighting conditions can take place, they'll know that we offer an authentic school-to-work experience. And so it will be for every student in every area of visual and performing arts, not just a few specialists, but every student taking any VAPA class as the district requires they do. Our kids will see that this is a beautiful new facility, the arts are taken seriously, and that they are supported. So we thank you, and we can't wait to get into those spaces.
As we've seen, we're very proud again of all of our sports teams that were recognized this evening, our championship teams, our championships in girls basketball, but we also feel as though there's a great need for not only academics, but the arts program. And we would like to, again,
fill that void that is within our district. Our architectural firm that did support us with our new gym renovation is also the architectural firm that will be supporting with our VAPA project, Visual and Performing Arts project. And I'll let the architect come up and talk.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us here. Come along,
Next slide.
Yeah. First off, I just want to express what a pleasure it is to work again with CK McClatchy. The site is just such a testament to the importance of education in this community, and it's just such a thrill to work with such a historical site. So the staff as well, you can see, they're very collaborative. They talk, they know each other's business, they know what each other does, they're in each other's classroom. So it has been a pleasure to meet with them and discuss what their needs are and what they have to have in order to accomplish what they do. Go ahead. So thought we'd just give you a little overview of that. This is the theater from 1937. So it hasn't really changed much in all that time. The only thing that's really been done to it is that a little wheelchair lift has been put on the left stair there. So the idea is that this is a fabulous theater, and we want to maintain that and grow on that. We want to turn it back over to the school site as something better than they even remember. So it's just a pleasure to again work on that. So this is in here because we also realize that this is a historical building. There are certain aspects of this building that are on the actual historical registry or registered or whichever. But we've talked to all those people and learned about them. So we want to maintain those and bring those forth in all the work that we do. Of interest here is that sort of screened glass on the right hand there is at the front, both sides of the theater. And what you realize, it looks pretty cool on this side, and then you look on the back side, and it's kind of a weird looking orange peeling off paint that's on a piece of glass. And the reason to put that in there is just that to show you that there's a lot of need at McClatchy in this area. And then the room on the right-hand side is the photography room. Very antiquated. It was built quite a long time ago and needs to be upgraded. So same thing here. That's the 2D art room and the music room. And through meeting with them and stuff and how they want to offer VAPA, we're learning what they need and how they need to do it. So what it's brought us to is consolidating VAPA in this corner of the campus where the auditorium is, giving them, this auditorium, by the way, is used all the time by everybody. So it's not like a lot of schools, where my girls did drama, the theater was the drama classroom. That's not the case here. So what we're giving them is a black box classroom where they can do all the functions of a stage, but not be in the theater, so it can be used for other reasons. Then we have the ensemble room, which is going to be a combination band choir classroom. Then we have the 3D art scene shop. They do a lot of construction in there, and so they can do both 3D art teaching and be backup for the stage for building sets. And then piano lab is actually a pretty good staple there with students wanting to learn piano and everything. So we've provided a place for that. They currently are in the choir room, but they're moving out to give room for the 3D art room. So, and then, as Pat said, the photo studio and digital media. The photo studio is Pat's, and it's going to be fabulous as he described. But then this new program of digital media is coming forth. So you're starting that, right? And so it's kind of like, the neat thing is this is art as it's always been, but they're moving forward and creating new things and new ways to do things. And then as well, we have the 2D art studio. Currently, it's kind of an antiquated room. It'll be all brand new for her. And then the ceramic studio. Currently, they're part of where they teach is located in another remote part of the campus. And then they sort of have ceramics in that end room, but that room was actually built for like home economics and stuff, so it's just completely unsuitable for ceramics. So, and then quite a jewel will be that there's an outside yard there already, but we're going to put kilns out there and stuff and make it state of the art so they can do everything they need to do. So.
Just a couple other little comments I wanted to talk about, some additional scope that we'll be doing during both phases of this. So we have applied under Prop 39, the Clean Energy Jobs Act, for some repairs to the pool, both in the pump and the boiler. We hope to receive word. Well, that will take a while, but we have applied for the funds. We also have a deferred maintenance project that we'll piggyback on and take care of some of the roofing and a power upgrade for the entire site because we're running pretty low on the power. So as far as phasing and schedule, we'll do the power upgrade first. We estimate that to start this summer in July. And then the core academic renovation, the Prop 39 scope, and the deferred maintenance scope will all start approximately December of 2016. One of the great things is that the wing itself is vacant right now. So the staff's been able to move into other classrooms, so we aren't going to have to worry about interim housing, which is wonderful because that takes a big chunk of the budget. Nobody else wants to say anything, huh? So moving right along. The core academic renovation is 13.2. Our Prop 39 funds that we hope to get is 400. The deferred maintenance is 1.4. So right now the total construction costs are just over $15 million. Of course, these are estimates, so they'll change as we further define the scope. Upcoming presentations. This again was the first of our core academic renovations. So Kit Carson is the next one that we'll bring to the board on December 10th, and then West Campus. We just had another meeting with them today. And we're further defining the scope over at West. So those are the first three schools that were going to be funded out of some of the 2015 bond sale, and then most of them we funded out of the 2017 bond sale. And then the rest of the 6 campuses will come in successive years. So with that, I was going to turn it back over to Mr. Lambert, if you want to say any final thoughts. Otherwise, we can turn it over to you for questions.
We have 2 public comments, I believe.
We have 2 comments on this item from Karen Sweat and Bob Hamas.
Oh. Karen Sweat, Making Sense Work, and I'm really, absolutely so thrilled about this. Retired McClatchy teacher, there wasn't a day, I was there for 5.5 years. My son was there for another 4 years. There wasn't a day that when I was in that auditorium, I said, do something with us. And I spent a lot of time with Pat. Well, I spent a lot of time talking about Pat and what he always wanted to do with the arts at McClatchy, and some time talking with him. He was just down the hall from me. This is absolutely fantastic. This is what should be done. This is a tremendous community resource. However, that's not why I'm here. We at Making Sense Work think that you, the stewards of this district, should be looking at actuals, not just titles of pots of money. So we've brought you the budgets managed by the facilities department. You have the Fund 14 deferred maintenance, $220,000. Fund 21, the building fund, $84.2 million. Fund 25, the developer fees, $2.8 million, and the capital projects fee budget of $2 million. This report, period 4, represents all revenues and expenditures. From July 1st through October 4th, of period 4, we call it that because of the 4 months. And I'm not telling you that to be disrespectful. I just know you don't, as a rule, look at these SACS expenditure reports, budget expenditure reports. These reports do not tell you how and where. For that information, you need to look at the object summaries, and they're also posted on the district website. However, looking at the summary, we don't think there's a need for drilling down and maybe other than about 4 lines. Please note the Williams Emergency Repair Program is managed in Fund 1, not in any of these funds. You can see that on the second page. And I bring up the facilities money because it is a class size reduction issue. Whew. Thank you.
Hello again, Superintendent and Board. My name is Bob Hamas, and from MCW and also from the Coalition Priority, the Priority Coalition. And I also wanted to address the class size reduction issue around facilities. Class size reduction has been a priority for the community and has been a topic for the district for at least the last 2 or 3 years, and yet we have never seen class size reduction mentioned in any facility reports to the board. And so I just wanted to ask that the board ask facilities as part of their evaluation of existing facilities to include what sort of studies or analysis they're doing and how the district is going to meet class size reduction with our existing facilities. We're just in the first year of trying to reduce the class sizes, and already we are seeing problems around facilities not being able to handle this. We're not even close to 24-1 in K-3, and we haven't even begun to talk about the 33-1 ratio we have in 4-6, which is far higher than any other district in the area. And as I have expressed to some of you privately and also before at board meetings, I'm very, very concerned that we do not have the facilities, no matter how many teachers we are able to hire or how much we're able to pay them, to be able to handle class size reduction. I think the closing of the schools was, as I've said before, a major mistake. It wasn't needed at the time. It didn't save us hardly any money, and now it's going to come back and bite us big time. So I hope you are addressing this now and that you are getting the information from facilities in some other form or some other reports. And if you're not, please address this immediately. And I would like to see public reports on how the district is addressing this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Wu. Hello, Ms. Allen. I think I've said up here several times about how Luther Burbank needs a new pool pump. I haven't seen it come across yet.
It's been included in a Prop 39 application.
In this Prop 39 app?
In years 2 and 3. So this is actually years 2. Let me bring it back more definitively, but it is included in our application to the California Energy Commission as part of the Prop 39 projects.
Sooner rather than later?
As soon as they'll give it to us. Yeah.
When you say years 2 and 3,
it gets confusing on how we get the money through CDE via CEC. Again, lots of acronyms: California Energy Commission, and then the California Department of Ed. But we lumped our first 2 years of funding together to bring us enough funding to be able to do HVAC replacements at Cal, Sutter, and one other school. So, and then years 3, we're using that funding for things like the Luther Burbank pool pump and a lot of other stuff as well. So let me bring back our Prop 39
Yeah, I'd like to, and I would be very concerned if Luther Burbank got pushed off to the back when I've been talking about this for 2-3 years now.
Yeah, nothing's been pushed back, but let me bring back the schedule as far as what we're doing on Prop 39.
Because I just took a trip over and looked at the pool the other day, and it's just, we need some help over there with that pool. It's not fair that their swim team and their students have to use a pool that's not adequately.
We toured the locker rooms and looked at the gym, and there's a lot of facility needs throughout the district, obviously. But yeah, definitely.
That's one of the oldest pools around, as well. Okay, and actually, congratulations, McClatchy. It looks beautiful. The question I have is sometimes people get overzealous in planning, and they go, "Ooh, nice." We get to revitalize and remodel over here. But I hear too often that there's 2 different schools going on at McClatchy. There's the back school, which is the HISP program, and then there's the front school, which is everybody else. Was there any thought of integrating and bringing back the HISP and integrating some of those classes along with this discussion?
Yes, actually, the VAPA program will serve all students at McClatchy High School. So this program and this project, we're looking forward to every student, as a graduation requirement, must take an arts class. And so the impact of this project, we're hoping will be an impact felt by every student that comes through McClatchy. Also, we serve the community within our facilities. It's used quite often within our not only within our school district, but outside community groups that come in and use our facilities quite often. So we think it will be also a community hub. We have two teachers that are not here with us tonight, Mr. Jorge Munoz, who's our music teacher, and Miss Molly Morrison, who's our drama teacher. They're preparing this evening for two big events with their students, practicing for that. And so the goal is to make this project very inclusive for all students, and we believe that all students will be served through this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Lambert. Member Hanson.
I want to recognize the McClatchy team. I've been, watching this in development for some time now. In particular, attending some of the meetings that your staff have been working on developing the new curriculum, and I assume also working with the architect on doing some of the development on the project. It's been a teacher-led program. I think it's very exciting, and it's a great role for other schools to take a look on how you've expanded this program. My only fear that I've already expressed to Peter is we're already bursting at the seams. Now we're just making McClatchy even more of a desirable school, but I guess we can suffer with that. I think it's obviously a great problem to have, and it's so difficult to do things in a school that's 90 years old, but so beautiful, and you don't want to damage it, and obviously you want to take care of it and move it into the 21st century. It's a really very exciting project, so I'm looking forward to seeing the work move along, and all the students being served. It's just going to be a great resource, not only for the students and the community, but just another great flagship for the whole district. So congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. Moving on to item 9.4, adopting school attendance area for McKinley Village at Theodore Judah Elementary School. Ms. Young, Mr. Dobson.
I walk too fast. Go ahead. Okay. Superintendent Bonda, President Wu, and board members, Jim Dobson and I are here tonight to bring forward staff's recommendation to adopt the school attendance area for McKinley Village at Theodore Judah Elementary School. Some background information, briefly. In August of 2013, our board approved annexing land, which is called McKinley Village, from Twin Rivers District. The transfer of just under 49 acres resulted in boundary changes for both districts. You can see that the property is located on the south side of Interstate Business 80 near the American River and California Exposition, and we have a map in a few slides that shows that. With the size of the development, we estimate around 265 total students, 148 of them being elementary K-6 and 117 secondary 7-12. Our goals in bringing this forward to you tonight would be to provide advance notice about the attendance area and to have available information for prospective families.
So Mary provided a brief description of the area we'll be discussing tonight, and I know that it might be a little bit difficult from where you're at, but if you'd like to turn around or you're not familiar with the area, it's towards the top. It is labeled McKinley Village. It's the area up here. This document was provided from the developer. It gives a little bit of information on the development. You can see the residential parcels in the pale yellow. The 3 parks have been included along with the recreation center. The street that would be on the bottom right is McKinley Village Way, and that would be the connection to the existing C Street. That would be the logical route that the students and families would be using to get to Theodore Judah. The next slide is our proposed attendance area. You can now see that the McKinley Village area is shaded in blue, representing the total Theodore Judah attendance area.
So our recommendation for you tonight would be to identify Theodore Judah as the school that elementary students would be attending from McKinley Village. We would like to publish the new attendance area map as quickly as possible and add McKinley Village addresses to our district school locator to better assist prospective families. We have provided for you a folder with some additional detailed maps. It's blue or purple, sorry. It also has a letter that was sent to us as a response to some safety concerns from our city traffic engineer. And we are available for questions. Looks like we have public comment.
Mr. Ross.
We have four public comments on this item. Phil Angelidis and Megan Norris, Rob Ferreira, Ron Verlakis, and Jordan Traverso.
Phil Angelidis with Encore McKinley Village LLC, accompanied by Megan Norris, also with the same entity. And members, I'm going to be very, very brief here, and we will make ourselves available for any questions you may have. All I wanted to say really is that we do hope that the board adopts the staff recommendation tonight. It's been a long journey, which started in mid-2013 at the Twin Rivers School Board, at this school board, and many of you sat at that time, and then ultimately by the County Board of Education, sitting as the Committee on Local School Reorganization. I will just say this is a logical recommendation for a number of reasons. McKinley Village, or Theodore Judah, is the closest school to McKinley Village. And I think, as you'll see by the materials that have been provided, there are safe and well-designed routes for children to get there by bicycle, by walking. The other alternative schools are quite some distance away with much more difficult and unsafe conditions for traversing. I'll let the community speak for itself, but I will say that we've enjoyed the opportunity to get to work with the community and to participate with the staff and with the community on making sure that Theodore Judah has a capacity expansion, not just for the kids in McKinley Village, but for other children, and to do it in a way that's not with a portable facility, but with an architecturally significant facility consistent with the existing facility. This recommendation is consistent with all your major board policies about contiguous boundaries, safe routes to schools, neighborhood schools being accessible to children. It makes sense in terms of the neighborhood, so there's not a lot of traffic going through the neighborhood, taking kids to other schools, essentially using the neighborhood as a traffic route, increasing traffic, since a significant number of these children, because of the short distance, can walk or bike to school. And it's very much consistent with the superintendent's goal that he stated when he came here, and your board's goal to reduce declining enrollment by offering people who move into the city or want to get a bigger home in the city the ability to access neighborhood schools. With that, I will stop. We will make ourselves available for any questions you will have, and I will stop there.
Thank you, Mr. Angelidis.
Okay, thank you.
Superintendent Bonda, board members, my name is Rob Ferrer. I'm the PTA president for Theodore Judah. And I just wanted to state that our PTA board is in strong support of future students from McKinley Village attending Theodore Judah Elementary. This development is part of the East Sacramento neighborhood, and therefore the kids should attend a school that is in biking and walking distance to their homes. If McKinley Village Elementary students were designated for any other school, they would be traveling up to roughly 2.2 miles. This has the potential to increase traffic for our neighborhood, and there's no ability to create a safe route to school for the children. This also creates a disjointed community due to the distance they have to travel. Ensuring that these kids get to attend a school which is in close proximity to the homes of McKinley Village will further strengthen our community. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Mr. Furrow.
Superintendent Bonda, President Wu, and board members. My name is Jordan Traverso. I thank you very much for the opportunity to make remarks tonight. I am in favor of the staff recommendation as well. I'm a mother
At Theodore Judah, I have a first grader and also I have an incoming preschooler who will be in the 17-18 school year. I know that I'm also a close community member because I'm actually very close in proximity to the school. There's been a lot of passionate discourse in the past about McKinley Village. Now's the time to accept decisions that have been made and strategize for the future. So I strongly feel that Theodore Judah is ready to accept the future children of McKinley Village. The school's growing and improving and has both an exceptional and dedicated faculty as well as a robust PTA, and they deeply care about the continued vitality of the school. Judah's theme is to educate the whole child, and the school's prepared to do that for this new neighborhood of students. McKinley Village is a stone's throw from my house. Those kids are going to be friends of my kids. These are going to be our neighborhood children, and they should go to the neighborhood school. Aside from my role as a mother, I'm, like I said, a very close member of the school. My backyard fence backs up to the schoolyard. And because of that, I understand that my street is going to become a thoroughfare for some of the families from McKinley Village. And I'd much prefer to have them attend the closer school, Theodore Judah, and potentially have more of an opportunity for students to walk or bike ride to the school, because I think that that's going to at least eliminate some of the pass-through traffic that would happen otherwise. And I think that that is a big step toward keeping my neighborhood streets a little bit safer. And so I'm in support of the staff recommendation, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Wu, Superintendent Bonda, board members. My name is Ron Verlakis. I'm a community member of the Theodore Judah School, and I'm a parent of a child at the school. And I'm also the architect of the new building that's going to be soon underway at the school. We were here about 5 months ago, I think, for the approval of that effort, and things are going well. Though that is not why I'm here, I'm actually here to support the staff report that the new neighborhood that's going to join the existing neighborhood all be together at one campus at Theodore Judah. We're actually residents of Midtown, which is the other side of the freeway from Theodore Judah, but it is our school. I look forward to parts of Midtown possibly returning to the Washington School neighborhood. I think that will be good for Washington School, and I think this will be good for Theodore Judah School. The project that we're about to get underway adds 9 classrooms to the campus, which is a 6 classroom gain, and I think it will accommodate well the new neighborhood as well as the current needs. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verlakis. No further public comment. Member Cochran.
Thank you, President Wu. So I have a long history with McKinley Village, and we've come to this point. And I have to say that I spoke with Mr. Angelides at one point, and he indicated, he asked me my thoughts, and I said I would do what was right for the children. And he looked at me and he said, "I think I know that." I want to approve this project, and I will. But I have a lot to make a comment about, because when I came onto the school board, I looked at the plans not as someone in the community who was not happy with the project, but I put my school board hat on and looked at the safety of the 40th Street coming into Elvis and C. And so as I go through my comments, Mr. Angelides, I think I know you will look at this too and see if there's more that can be done to make it safe for the children to cross this crossing. Now, staff has done an excellent job, and I don't see Mr. Barone in the audience tonight. Did he come?
We have a senior engineer.
Could you come up, please? I have some specific questions. So I had a lot of questions about the safety after, with my school board hat, I took a closer look at it, and the city was kind enough to give an answer, and some of the questions were addressed. So I just want to look at this document for a moment and talk about it. But first I have to set the context. So I was born in East Sacramento, and I know the area very well. The school is in what we sometimes call the back side of the neighborhood, the back half, because it is deep and close to Elvis Avenue. Elvis Avenue runs from approximately 57th Street over to Alhambra in a big swooping curve. The thing that you might not know about Elvis Avenue is it is actually a de facto freeway. given any day, you get behind a car and you will be the slow person on the road if you're not doing 45 to 50 miles an hour. This is not something I'm just saying because I want more safety at this crosswalk. It's a fact. And if you live in the neighborhood, you know that's true. There are some who do adhere to the 35 mile an hour on Elvis and City Street, but they are not the norm. The norm is very fast. So with that in mind, we're looking at an intersection that's going to come out of McKinley Village. I think it's going to be called McKinley Village Boulevard that comes out of the project. And it's going to go straight into Elvis. Then, if you were a child to go to Theodore Judah, you'll take a slight right and you'll go down 40th Street. So some of the concerns I have were answered, and I'd like to thank you. One of them was a bike lane on 40th Street. I understand that there's not actually technically space to put that on 40th Street, the bike lane. It's not a wide enough street. And we have, I believe, free parking on that street. It's not restricted. The thing is that it's probably not going to happen. And I could live with that. But sometimes when you look at what the lowest standard is and what the highest standard is and what you could possibly do in a neighborhood to provide safety, you have to take that extra step, especially when you're talking about school children. If we do indeed have walkers and bike riders coming out of McKinley Village, going down 40th Street to Theodore Judah, it's potentially a very dangerous ride. So if we can't actually stripe it, we might put a pole up that says bike riders coming through or designated bike lane, something to draw attention to that. The other thing that I had concern about was the lighting, because when I looked at the plans, I couldn't really see if the lighting was good enough. Can you put the slide up that shows the village so I can point it out? Thank you. The lighting at 40th Street, I wasn't quite sure by the sketches and schemes that they gave that it was adequate, but I've been assured by the city that we will have lighting there that will help the children pass. Yeah, that's fine. So can you point to 40th Street so we can get it?
Actually, we have a
Try the one with has E1 on the bottom right. One more or two more. Or
Oh, actually, that should be fine.
Exits from this area right here.
Right. So I was happy to see that there will be adequate lighting, so thank you for informing us of that from the city. So the thing that I have concern about still is that because it is on Elvis, which is such a dangerous street, I want to make sure that that crossing coming from McKinley Avenue, Boulevard, Way from McKinley Way is going to be adequate and safe enough so when the children cross that street that they're not going to be in danger. Now the city's put a double crosswalk in there, which I believe adheres to rules and regulations, and that's fine. I understand the explanation for having it. I do want to point out, however, that it is problematic in that when you have a double stop with a crossing, bless you, when you have a double stop with a crosswalk, cars will come towards the first crossing, stop, and then proceed, and there's no second stop at the second crosswalk. On a normal street, that would be good enough, but you've got to remember that you're coming around Elvis, and it's very fast. And if you have school children walking across that crosswalk, you potentially could have someone not coming to a stop if someone's in the second crosswalk. So I want to point that out for the record that this is not a good situation. The other thing, and this really kind of perplexed me, and this is the city statement from Mr. Barone that there is no advanced pedestrian or school crossings at stop-controlled intersection, et cetera, per California Vehicle Code, it's not permitted. Can you tell me a little bit about that code and why it's not possible to actually put up here comes a school crossing, 500 feet, et cetera?
yes, President Wu, Superintendent Bonda, members of the board. My name is David Adroslan. I'm with City of Sacramento Department of Public Works. Basically, the vehicle code states that you can't stripe specifically for schools, like changing the crosswalks from a white color to yellow, unless
that crosswalk is within 600 feet from the school.
What about signage?
That's for signage and striping.
Okay. And that's California Vehicle Code?
Yes.
Okay. So, we have to adhere to the rules. And, you have your set of rules, and I understand that. There might be other possibilities that we could look out at for providing more safety. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but there might be non-standard ways of announcing that you're coming into a zone where school children are crossing on the crosswalks. And I would appreciate it if I can ask staff to look into that more thoroughly and see if there's something else we can work out, a non-official, non-yellow, some other kind of signage. But like I said, I'm going to vote to approve the project. It is the right thing to do. It's the right thing for Theodore Judah. But I have to say something, and I have to say it for the record. I do not believe that this crossing is as safe as it can be. I do not believe that it has proper signage for Elvis C. Street. I do know that cars go 50 plus miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. I believe that this is a potential disaster. We have had tragedies in this district before. I'm looking down at my co-member Arroyo, and I'm sure that he remembers Fruit Ridge. No, that wasn't near the school, but school children crossed that when they were going back to West Campus, which was a couple blocks away, but it was a de facto school crossing. So God forbid something should happen like that here in McKinley Village. It has the potential, but I hope it won't happen, and it probably won't happen. But we should do every single thing we can to make sure it doesn't happen. And if that means additional signage that comes close to but doesn't tip over the code, then I think we should do it. And I appreciate that staff will look into that, and I hope that we can do it and that the city will assist. However, I also would like to put on record whatever that we find or discover that will increase the safety of the children going across 240th Street across C Street and Elvis is not paid for by the city nor Sacramento City Unified School District, but by the developer. Thank you.
I see no other speakers, so I'm going to move from conference to action. Can I have a motion? Member Ryan.
Thank you. I know Member Rodriguez and I had a few comments to make. So I want to appreciate the availability of Area Superintendent Mary Harden-Young to discuss the nuances of this proposal. I also want to recognize that we have had an intense level of scrutiny on this process and with an eye towards safety for our students. I was fortunate enough to reach out to look for some independent recommendations surrounding this with city staff, given that this is their area of expertise, and to go through the list of questions and concerns that I was hearing from my fellow colleagues and feel like those concerns had been more than sufficiently met. I absolutely agree that we have to always work hard to ensure that our students have safe, walkable, bikeable paths to school. But frankly, I do want to recognize that I have a school area where some of my schools don't even have a speed bump out in front of our school sites. We don't have crosswalks. We don't have half of these things that we're asking to institute in front of Theodore Judah. I earlier supported the expansion of Theodore Judah to a $6 million expansion for a permanent infrastructure there. I'm very proud to do that. But I also want to ensure that we have equitable safety standards for all schools and that we continue to talk about how do we raise the bar so that in areas where on a daily basis there are de facto highways and students who cannot feel safe in crossing to their schools, that we are looking at options for improving their safety.
Thank you, Member Ryan. Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Wu. My comments echo Member Ryan's comments. I'll take a different approach, different flavor. 2-3 years ago, we were sitting here having these same arguments about the distance between one school to the next and how it was too far for little legs to walk almost 2 miles to the next school. Yet our board voted to close schools. In one area in particular, Washington Elementary schools, the children would either be routed to William Land Elementary or Theodore Judah. The distance from Washington to William Land Elementary is 1.9 miles. Depending on what map you use, 1.8 miles. And we're saying the distance of 2.2 miles is quite a distance for children to walk or to travel safely to school. I just want to make sure that we're hearing ourselves, because why is it okay here but not okay here? Same area. These are the things that we need to be really careful of. We talk about equity, we talk about access. We want to be responsible land developers, we want to be responsible board members, we want to be responsible citizens. Let's be responsible for everyone equally. We talk about the traffic and how fast cars go through, yet it wasn't a problem when we closed schools in 2009. When we were rerouting children to cross the streets, major streets, to the next school over. Let's talk about equity and access in everything we do. That's all I ask, is if it's good for this community, it is good for that community too. And if we don't think like that, if we don't do that mind shift, we'll never get Sacramento as a whole up to the next level where we belong. We have a beautiful arena that's going in downtown, yet the surrounding area still needs a lot of help. And you know what area I'm talking about. Let's start to get to that point and not just talk about it, but let's do it. I'm tired of having to always advocate for the people who are the voiceless persons, always. We need help. We need your help, most of all. And with that, I just have a question. The striping that went on 20th and K, the rainbow striping, when we talked about the ordinance of how we couldn't do specialized striping, but yet we got special striping on 20th and K, is that same, different? You know, we're talking about school striping, we're talking about different kind of striping. I'm a little confused about that one.
#20th and K is a special intersection that the city worked with the business owners there. They wanted a special treatment, special pavement. They've paid for it. They're maintaining it. And we worked with the business association. They brought it it was brought to council, reviewed, and implemented. And we are currently monitoring it. If we do run into problems, we will have it removed, and they will pay for the removal.
I just want to say one thing. Equity. It's okay for over here to work as a group. But again, when it comes to the safety of children, I don't think that there should be special treatment. I think there should be more than. Should be. But we were able to get around the law.
Okay. With that said, actually, the intersection that's shown above meets all the standards and it's safe. Basically, it's an all-way stop. It's stopped in all three directions. There's a 12-foot crossing on all three sides. In addition, there is a median where a pedestrian can walk halfway and wait within that 10-foot median to go halfway and then reach to the other side. So that is a safety upgrade. And in addition, on C Street, there are pavement legends as well as signs that say stop ahead. In addition, the project also implemented stop signs at 2 other locations on 36th and 40th Street, as well as San Antonio Way and 36th Way, in order to make it more safe for the peds to walk to the school. So I hope that helps.
Thanks. So I just want to understand, because the crossings at 20th and K are special, and the locals are paying for it, and it was allowed by the city. It's pavement marking, and I understand that this crosswalk is state of the art. Everything's been done. It's totally up to code. Everything has been implemented. Can you or can you not put a marking on asphalt as a special case like they did on 20th and K?
There are guidelines. There are certain guidelines. It just depends on what is being put in. There are certain guidelines that the city follows. As we follow the MUTC, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Devices, and it outlines what can be put in and what can't be put in. And if it's specific what can't be put in, but every situation, if it's special, we have to treat it a certain way. So it's not, we can put in whatever we want. There are certain guidelines.
So the guidelines for the 40th Street crossing, can you or can you not put markings on the sidewalk, or pardon me, the asphalt, in order to make it safer? It's okay if you don't know.
Well, you're asking me, can what be put in? What sort of markings?
As I discussed, when you approach 500 to 700 feet, at least, you're coming into what is basically a school crossing. I'm asking that as you approach this intersection, that there's more safety for the school children that are crossing. I understand that you've quoted California Vehicle Code, but then my colleague asked about special dispensation that is on 20th and K. So my question is, if they had special dispensation, why can't this area have it? Is there a particular reason for that, or is it possible?
You know what? We are always monitoring safety issues.
That's not my question. It's okay if you don't know. It could be a comeback question.
I don't know because I'm not exactly sure what you're requesting pavement legends, but I don't. You actually didn't say pavement legends. We have pavement legends out there that will say "stop ahead" with warning signs, "stop ahead." So that is the typical standard. But if there's something,
let me ask you some specific questions. How many feet ahead of the crosswalk are they?
I believe they're 150 feet.
Okay. So, but they do not say school crossing or children crossing.
That is correct.
So, in my opinion, if you have school children crossing and you have people going 50 miles an hour, it is a wise and prudent thing to announce that you will be coming upon children going through this crosswalk. So my question is, if you can have a special dispensation at 20th and K to put, was it rainbow marks? Why can't you add school crossing to the paint on the asphalt ahead of the crosswalk? Is that illegal? Or if you don't know, it's okay. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's an information question.
It's inconsistent with the vehicle code.
As is K Street and 20th.
No, 20th and K, we've followed what's in the MUTCD. There's nothing that restricted us. If we brought it to council, it was approved.
Okay, so I won't belabor this point, but for the record, I don't really think I have a clear answer per vehicle code, 20th and K versus Elvis and C Street, so I'd like staff to look into that, please, to see if we can get some clarification. I appreciate your answers, and it's hard to stand there, I know, and it's not personally directed to you. I'm just really trying to get answers for more safety. Thank you. And I just want to say one more thing. I know, Superintendent, that you you want to chime in here, but there are just a couple words I need to say. And I agree completely with my colleagues Ryan and Rodriguez. And here are the things I want to say. Broadway, Franklin, Stockton, Bradshaw, C Street, Elvis, all the children that cross all those streets are equally valuable. We are lucky because this developer did put in a respectful crossing. I want more, but I also want more for my colleagues to have safe crossings to go to their schools. So this isn't an individual situation. This is a call to have safety for our schools. I don't want to pick up the paper and read about something like happened on Fruit Ridge did a couple of years ago. This needs to be changed, and we need to have more safety. I also would like to thank personally Phil Angelides for donating $175,000 to make the new building possible at Theodore Judah.
Okay. I have no more speakers, so entertain a motion to move from conference to action. A motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Action item. Do I have a motion to move the item? No. I have a motion by Vice President Pritchett. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Member Arroyo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. Where are we? Item 9.5, adopting school attendance area for Washington Elementary School. 2, Mr. Dobson.
All right. Good evening, President Wu, Superintendent Bonda, and members of the board. Tonight, my colleague Jim Dobson and I will be bringing forward to you adopting attendance area for Washington Elementary School. So a little bit of background. As you will recall, the Board of Education voted on August 6 to reopen Washington Elementary School for the 2016-2017 school year. Our goals are to provide families with as much advance notice as possible about the attendance area for Washington School and to have the information available for the open enrollment process. Our goal is also to keep siblings together. And at this time, my colleague Jim will share our attendance areas.
So the slide before you is of our current attendance areas for the downtown area. That would be for William Land in the blue and Theodore Judah in the beige color. This slide represents the former Washington Elementary School. So if you put the blue and the beige together, that represents the former attendance area. The blue was the portion that was assigned to William Land, and the beige was the portion that was assigned to Theodore Judah. This map represents the proposed new attendance area for Washington Elementary.
Our recommendations is to adopt a new attendance area for Washington Elementary School, to publish our new attendance area map, and to update addresses in our SCUSD school locator. And at this time, we are open to questions and or comments.
Thank you. I think we have some public.
We do have one comment on this item from Corey Buckmaster Celeste.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Bonda. It's nice to see you all this evening. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. As the work ensues to reopen Washington Elementary and to reestablish the boundary lines between Washington and Theodore Judah, it's come to our attention tonight that there's been some thought about including a part of the existing Theodore Judah boundary into the proposal for the new Washington Elementary boundary, which is different than our community's understanding of the boundary proposal going forward tonight. We are also unaware of any analysis that's been done to support such a proposal, and we are unaware of any community engagement opportunities regarding this matter. If this is the case, we ask that this agenda item be pulled so that the analysis can be done and the community may be engaged. Absent this, we support a vote that would result in the reestablishment of the original boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? First, Member Rodriguez, then Vice President Pritchett.
Hi. First, I don't think I got the materials on this item.
No one did. Originally, this was going to be pulled. And, somebody made copies.
Okay, so this was going to be pulled. We didn't get the item. There was no analysis that was done.
So the proposed recommendation is coming forward from a meeting with the two trustees areas representing the two Theodore Judah and Washington and facilities, and two area assistant superintendents representing those areas.
You know, it would make me feel a lot more comfortable if this has been such a just sensitive process with Washington Elementary. And I know Member Hansen has engaged his community really well, and I know that he probably wouldn't mind getting out to his community again, and that's another opportunity for you to actually get out to your community. So it would make me feel a lot better to make a decision more informed with the proper analysis done, rather than having staff, discuss it. And I'm not sure, I'd like to hear from Member Cochran as well to see if she was engaged in this conversation. But yeah, I think attendance is such a touchy thing. And so we want to make sure that all parties, including those who are going to use our services, have actually been reached out and they know. Coming from public comment right now just doesn't give me that settling feeling. I don't think I could vote on this right now.
Thank you, President Wu, for whispering that. So there was no analysis done at all?
There was not a community engagement forum done.
And how many families will this affect?
Want to answer that, Jim?
So again, this might work better if you turned around and maybe saw up here. So one of the portions that we moved into the Washington attendance area is this small portion right here. There are two students attending William Land that live in that area. Let's see here. One is a first grader and one is a sixth grader currently. So that would be the impact for that area, two students. The next area that was proposed to be changed is along the railroad tracks between 19th and 20th. It would be the west portion of that. In that area, there are 22 students. Currently, 13 of them attend Theodore Judah, 4 attend William Land, 1 attends Bret Hart, 1 attends Crocker Riverside, 1 Hubert Bancroft, and 2 to Phoebe Hearst.
Okay. So it is my understanding that by holding this back, this will affect open enrollment.
It's, as I stated, one of our goals is to absolutely get the information out so that our families have the opportunity to make those decisions before open enrollment.
Okay, but these students that are currently attending Theodore Judah that live within those boundaries, if we change these boundaries tonight, they still have the option to attend Theodore Judah, and so do their siblings, correct?
Correct. That's our intention.
Thank you.
Member Hansen.
Thank you very much. We actually have talked to people, so it wasn't just done in a vacuum. This area is all within my district, so I've actually talked to folks in the community, and there was some concern about that one little portion on the students crossing the railroad tracks, and we just had a long conversation about safety. You know, that one is actually quite consistent with what we've been talking about. So this area of reestablishing Washington's boundaries, one, any student who's in, you know, the current attendance areas that's attending William Land or Judah is grandfathered in, and all their siblings are grandfathered in. So there's, you know, those students can stay if they choose to stay at the schools that they were moved to. We certainly aren't going to ask them to move back. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear, including siblings. So if siblings haven't even, you know, if they're not even in kindergarten yet, you know, once they do, if the family wants to keep them at the school with their brothers or sisters, they can absolutely do that as well. So I think that's only fair. And by us not, you know, open enrollment hasn't been established yet because we have to wait until the boundary is set for Washington for this to happen. So this is actually quite an important measure for us to move forward on. I do think that we want to move forward with the Washington area. I think there's a lot of interest, and we need to get the information out as quickly as possible to families when they're going to start doing kindergarten enrollment soon. And I think that it's very consistent with the people that I've talked to in the community. And we'll certainly make sure that there's clear outreach done to any of the affected families so they know what their rights are, and you know that they can stay with their schools that they're at right now. But I would ask for my board members' support in this. It's important for us to move this along. Thank you.
Member Cochran?
Thank you, Board Member Wu. So I was in the meeting when these boundaries were talked about, and at that time it was indicated that there were probably 15, I understand, to 18 families. I thought this looks like a good idea, and I do think it's an excellent idea not to cross kids over the railroad track. Subsequently, after the meeting, it was pointed out to me that when we talk about boundaries, we engage the community, and they're fully involved in the decision-making process. This is the piece that was missing from this. We did not fully do that, and it is our due diligence to do this with the community. So I agree with Jay. I think that it is a safety issue going across railroad tracks. I think that one of the reasons this process was not followed was because of the enrollment piece. There was a concern that we would not be able to enroll and take enrollments on time. And is that a correct way of stating that?
We, as I said, yes, we would like to give our families as much notification as possible, yes.
So, and Jay, jump in and help me phrase this correctly, but it's my understanding that if we bring this forward to a vote tonight, that we will give assurances that due process is given to those parents and the Theodore Judah community, including the administration, that the PTG can weigh in, the entire population who's involved in the school can weigh in, as well as the residents who are there. Now, it's going to be tricky because if we get a groundswell of disagreement, how do we handle that? And perhaps that's a President Wu question. I agree with you. We need to change this, but we have to do due process. So how can we finesse this?
And it can also be, if there's a groundswell, then the board member who represents that area will have to work through that with the community, and that's me. So, like I said, I've talked to a lot of folks in the area, in the greater Washington community, you know, in some of that portion. And because I think we're grandfathering in the families, everybody is protected who's there. So I really think that that's the key part that I heard from people. They wanted to make sure that, you know, we weren't asking students once again to move. So
I agree with you 100%. It's just that key element of doing due process. And I'm looking at people out in the audience. I'm looking at Corey nodding her head, and Rob, and I think, who else is out there? I see. Is it Paige? Hi, Paige. It's important to do due process because these are the people in the school who actually will live with the decision. So, President Wu, if we have to kind of put the cart before the horse here, and we do say, yes, we vote this is a good idea, and there's a groundswell after we do the due process, how would we work that as a board?
I think we could bring it back. I think that we would follow the recommendation of the board member whose area this school happens to fall under. And I think that if Member Hanson feels it's necessary to bring it back, we could bring it back.
I look forward to the public comments to see if this is satisfactory. You can help inform us. Thank you.
Ross?
We do have one additional public comment on this item from Rob Ferreira.
Hello again. So with all due respect, the Theodore Judah community hadn't heard about this until, personally today. So we would love to be a part of the process. Our school is passionate about being involved in as many processes as possible. And for this, it does affect our school. We think it's great that there are mechanisms in place that do protect families, but knowing that there is a process that we do need to follow, we would like to encourage that process does take place. So if we are going to talk about equity, that these sorts of scenarios don't occur in other areas throughout the district. And so that, these processes are in place to protect the families and the schools, and so that we do work together the right way. So I hope that we do have an opportunity to follow that process and make sure that we're listening and hearing from everybody, including Member Cochran's constituents. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? I'll follow the lead of, Member Cochran?
I want this spelled out to me because I have a simple mind. I'd like to know, if we pass this, will we be able to return the community to have the input that's required by school board policy?
Are you waiting for me?
Is that a Jerry question?
I would say that any policy we pass can be revisited at any point in time by any one of us. So like every single action that we've done or the board has done in the last 160 years can be brought up again at any point in time.
So, Member Hanson, are you willing to engage the community and have this process?
It's kind of offensive slightly because I engage the community every single day. And to say that I haven't done anything, Theodore Judah is not, look where it's located. It's in your district. I don't know the principal. I'm kind of a little chagrined the principal didn't reach out to me before making the comments this evening. But I would like to, I think I represent my constituents very well. And I think that I understand what folks, what's important in the community, and reopening Washington is something that we've been working on for 2 years. So I think it's, I'm open. I sit here answering emails all day long. I'm quite accessible. And I'm always willing to revisit something. If I think that I've made an error, that can certainly happen. We're all volunteers up here. And I'm always open to, learning more. And I'm happy to talk to folks. And I think we've done a very fair process, allowing everyone to be, to stay at the schools of their choice is something that we would absolutely, that we value that. Did we go through a whole process of all the people that, were reestablishing the Washington boundaries? Is that something we're supposed to do? I don't know. We're all doing the best we can. I hope that this will be satisfactory. If there's not, and there's a groundswell of people in my district who come to me, I'm happy to revisit this.
So I appreciate your comments, and don't take personal offense. It's certainly not directed towards you. It's just I'm trying to get clarity around this issue, and it is a boundary issue, which is an important issue for the district. So here's a procedure question. Can we separate out the 2 blocks of land? So putting the Capitol Mall area into the Washington district, and at this time not moving the Theodore Judah. I don't know the procedures. I'm asking for advice either from Jerry or the board president.
Well, if you want to reopen the whole boundaries of Judah, we could do that too. I mean, I look at, it's underneath the 50 freeway, way down in Curtis Park. We're talking about, mileage and area. It really is a whole can of worms. So who knows how those boundaries were drawn however many years ago. Doesn't make sense to me. Those should be William Land or David Lubin or whatever. I was looking at one little tiny piece by the railroad tracks that's directly adjacent to Washington Elementary School. It makes total sense. Look how far away Judah is from Washington and where that piece of the property is there. I mean, if you want to go down the road of doing the whole thing, that's just a whole can of worms for all of us. And, we already had a discussion about this, and I thought it was quite clear, but.
Oh, thank you for explaining your point of view. And yes, we had a discussion, and I like I said, I'm actually in agreement with you. What I'm trying to ensure is that we do not disengage a part of the population from having a discussion on this issue. We did make an error in not reaching out to Theodore Judah, and the clarity I'm trying to get is, can we have that discussion and then revisit this if necessary? And if the answer is yes, then let's move the motion. But if it's not, then maybe we can have a friendly amendment to separate the two parcels of land. So, again, respectfully and in appreciation of you're seeing the railroad track there, I'm all for it, but we also have to engage the community. So, again, my question is, can we do that?
So what are you suggesting to bifurcate what?
I don't want to do this, but if we can't come to a conclusion any other way, separating the Capitol Mall area that is suggested to go to Washington and the lower portion next to 16th Street that is part of Theodore Judah's area to stay that way. However, what I would like to do is pass the amendment with the guarantee that the community of Theodore Judah will have due process and that we can revisit it if need be.
I'm happy to commit to that.
Member Rodriguez, then Member Arroyo.
Okay.
No,
We didn't get the
1,
benefit
2,
of seeing
3.
this beforehand. And like I said, it doesn't make me feel very comfortable to move in any direction. But after hearing the discussion, lively discussion between my colleagues, Member Hanson, would you be willing to, tonight, and then maybe next board meeting we come back with a total solution, would you be willing to do the friendly amendment of the, if I'm reading this right, in the former attendance area, which we see on the screen, the blue portion, that blue little block?
This is Washington. He wants to add this part.
And okay, and then add your little, add it down to Capitol Mall to include those two students, I think, that reside in that little area. Would you be willing to accept that as a boundary change tonight and the next board meeting?
We have a little bit of a Brown Act issue on that. This
Why?
is the issue before the board, so I just wanted to make an observation on that issue.
Okay, so maybe a friendly amendment to just include the blue portion with the proposed new blue section tonight, and then maybe you guys figure it out by next board meeting. There's a map on the.
Do you have this?
We do. We
Yeah.
each have that in front of us.
That little
Thank
blue
you.
piece right there, yes. That blue piece and that blue piece.
You want me to-
Show them again, Jim.
If you look at the map, this is the area that currently is William Land. And Jay logically wants it to go to part of Washington. So that would be a Washington block right here. This part over here is historically a Theodore Judah area. It is oddly drawn, but it has been this way for many, many, many years. Jay logically points out that they have to cross over the railroad track. So he wants to put this part as part of Washington too. But the overall problem is we didn't engage the school that belongs to before we put this before the board. So your motion is, Diana, did you?
Just the blue parts. The blue part, there's a blue, purple. Is that what color you see? Yeah. All of that plus the little purple that is proposed on the other map. Can you show the map? Keep all that blue or purple. Oh, here. Just tonight. Let me come back.
The Capitol Mall piece there?
Yeah. Wait, and you know, I mean, the whole thing is that this is supposed to be a destination school, so attendance boundary, I mean, you're going to go outside of the attendance boundary anyway. That way we can get something.
No.
Only the will if somebody seconds it.
No, you're fine because those pieces are before you. So if you want to have one versus the other, you can still do that.
Oh, we still have two speakers who want to speak, so let's let them weigh in first. Member Royal?
Thank you, President Wu. As I read the driving governance of this, the board is directed to regularly or over however many periods of time to look at attendance to make sure that there's equity and balance. So I get it that this section had traditionally been in Judah, but there's nothing sacrosanct to say that boundaries need to stay the way that they are right now. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any discussion or that should be done in secret. If I remember correctly, I was sitting as a board member and we had a change of attendance areas a few years ago because of shifting, and it's nothing new that the district has seen the balance of the population and has redrawn the attendance area, if I remember correctly. So I am not saying that we should not engage the community or we should not listen to parents or understand what the community needs, but boundaries are not sacrosanct in that just because they were there, they cannot be touched. So I think that it's great to advocate for communities that we represent, but we need to look at the entire district and figure out that, at least from this perspective, I'm seeing it as a district as a whole. I'm agnostic. I mean, my perspective on this is we can come back at any time as a board, given the policy, given the parameters and authority that we have, to come and revisit this. And so even approving the plan as it's being proposed today, if next year we realize that we have a surge in population or we have changes, the board can at any time make these type of decisions. So if there are specific problems that somebody would like to point out as to what is the problem with approving this plan, besides the idea that we need to engage the community. So we engage them, we talk to them, we come back next board meeting, it's the same? Or are there specific issues that need to be addressed that are veiled as there may be a concern? If there are, bring them to the fore and then we can discuss them and figure out if this is the path that we want to go. Otherwise, this is just a theoretical conversation. I say we approve the plan, unless there's a clear decision that we need to approve a different one. But other than that, I'm ready to move with the plan. Thank you.
Member Ryan?
So just a couple of comments. It was pointed out to me that currently students west of the railroad track are bused, so it's not an immediate safety issue. But I do want to say, in looking at community engagement and recognizing that that's paramount to ensuring that we have families that feel their voices are heard and that they are able to provide contribution to decisions that are being made by the school district. I appreciate that Board Member Hansen is recognizing that he will convene a community dialogue, and if there is a groundswell of support to move in another direction, would be willing to take that into account and then do the will of our families. So from my perspective, I guess, getting back to what Member Cochran originally said, You know, if we could say that we are going to, recognizing the open enrollment period, ask for a timeline in December where that community meeting occurs, we can have those conversations with those families with an opportunity for them to provide input, and recognize that should we make this decision to move forward tonight and that community meeting in December go another way, we would immediately change that direction so that we are meeting the needs of our families where they're at.
Member Cochran?
Member Ryan, is that a motion?
Yes, I suppose it was.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
What is the motion?
The motion is to adopt staff's recommendation to engage the community, and if after engaging the community, there is an apparent need to come back to revisit these boundary lines, we will do that. Did I accurately articulate that? Okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, too.
Thank you.
Item 9.6, approve resolution number 2862, Kindergarten through Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2016. Ms. Allen.
So good evening again. So the Coalition for Adequate School Housing and the California Building Industry Association joined forces once again and qualified an initiative to be placed on the ballot in November of 2016 for a $9 billion school facilities bond called, as you indicated, the Kindergarten through Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2016. So I'm asking for the board to show its support to the effort by adopting this resolution.
Do we have any public comment? No public comment? This is an action item. Do you have any discussion? I have a motion to move it. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10.1, business and financial information. We have received this information. And item 11, future board meeting dates and locations. I want to everyone to recognize that the only meeting in December is going to be December 10th, 2015. It is our annual organizational and workshop meeting here at the Cerna Center. And then January 7th will be the following meeting. That'll be January 7th of 2016. The item says 2015, but it will be 2016, 4:30 closed session, 6:30 open session here at the Cerna Center. I have a motion. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, can I ask for a moment of silence for Jalen JJ Clavo, who is a football player at Grant High School. He was shot and killed. And for Lydia Cruz, who's the teacher who died last night. And I move to adjourn in their memory.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. If I don't see you all, have a very safe and full Thanksgiving.